Thank you, Chris. And we are at City of Palms Park in Fort Myers, Florida for Sunday Night Baseball. Tonight, it's the Rangers and sweet-swinging Will Clark taking on the Red Sox and the former Ranger, Jose Canseco. It's the ESPN Sunday Night Game of the Week. A beautiful night for a ball game here in Fort Myers, Florida. The Texas Rangers and the Boston Red Sox on this holiday evening. Hello, everyone. I'm John Miller bidding you welcome to our telecast. Just about 9 days before opening night, and we'll be back in Florida for that as the Marlins take on the Dodgers. But for now, we've got two slugging ball clubs, including the Boston Red Sox, who are a slugging ball club, again adding, among others, Jose Canseco and Mark Whitten. Now with me is Joe Morgan. And, Joe, I know you love those slugging ball clubs.
I love those sluggers. Reminds me of Rice and Yastrzemski. Now they're going to have Mark Whitten and Jose Canseco as new additions. They went with speed for a while with Otis Nixon. Now they're going back to the ways of the old Boston Red Sox. Going to take advantage of Fenway Park. As you see, Canseco hitting a home run here a couple of days ago in Fort Myers. Jose Canseco will take advantage of that short porch in left field.
All right. Now, the Texas Rangers, of course, even without Canseco, still a slugging ball club with guys like Will Clark, Mickey Tettleton just added this week, Juan Gonzalez, the great home run hitter, and Dean Palmer. And Albert Palmer will be here tonight.
Well, I think Tettleton is a real key addition on the offensive side because I think he adds power from both sides of the plate. But the real key, again, is going to be Bob Tewksbury, who's pitching tonight, and Kevin Gross. They need a pitching staff. That is going to be their Achilles heel if they don't come up with some starters.
Pitching key for both ball clubs. Eric Hansen, a new addition to the Red Sox, will also be going tonight in place of Roger Clemens, who is hurting. We'll talk about that a little bit later. We'll have the Rangers and the Red Sox when we come back. A beautiful warm day in the city of the Palms down here in Fort Myers, Florida. That's a look at the waterfront now at just past sunset down here. It's a spectacular evening, and a big crowd is availing itself of the perfect conditions to come out and watch a spring training ball game. There's Bucky Dent, now the bench coach for the Texas Rangers, but tonight he'll be the acting manager in the absence of John Oates. John, with an emergency in his family, is back home with them, and we send all of our regards and all of our best wishes to John Oates and his family on this Easter Sunday. So tonight, Bucky Dent will run things from the Ranger dugout. Here's the batting order for the Texas Rangers. Eric Fox leads it off in center field. It'll be Mark McLemore at second base. Will Clark hitting third. Juan Gonzalez in left field hitting cleanup. Mickey Tettleton just picked up a couple of days ago, the designated hitter. Ivan Rodriguez, the catcher, hitting sixth. Rusty Greer in right field. Mike Pagliarulo back from Japan. He'll be at third base. And Benji Gill, the young shortstop, who is going to be the regular at this point, hits ninth. And he is the Rangers shortstop. And you can see part of that big crowd that's gathering here at City of Palms Park. And Joe, the Boston Red Sox with a little bit of a different look as well.
Very different. In fact, you take a look at third base, Tim Naring is going to start there, and he's only had 10 starts at third base, but he has played the other 4 infield positions. Of course, he replaces Scott Cooper, who is a very good defensive third baseman. So he's going to be a little spotlight on Tim Naring early as part of the season. And let's take a look at the pitcher, Eric Hansen. Hansen comes over. He's a key factor, as you mentioned, for the Red Sox. There's his record last year with the Cincinnati Reds. He was with the Seattle Mariners for a while. He has a very good curveball and a better than average fastball, but he uses curveball a lot more than a lot of people think he should. So we'll take a look at him. Gives up a few more hits than innings pitched. That's the one stat I always look at.
The umpires, we have the amateur umpiring crew. Jeff Hendricks behind the plate. Jim Yurimovich at first base, and Dallas Parks is at third base. Meanwhile, the actual Major League umpires are outside. We saw them a bit earlier as they have their informational picket. They're not trying to keep anybody from going in. In fact, as one of them said to us, Joe, says we want the people to go in to see what happens with these amateur umpires.
And I'm not trying to take sides or whatever, but I believe the Major League umpires are just as important to the game, you know, almost as the players, because Frank Thomas can't take a pitch just off the plate outside if he doesn't believe that the umpire is going to call it correctly. Bob Tewksbury can't throw a pitch just on the inside corner if he doesn't think he's going to get the call. And there is a reason that some people are major league umpires and the other ones are minor league umpires.
Well, I think Cal Ripken put it well the other day, Joe. He said, hey, you've got the best players in the world out here.
Right.
And you need to have the best umpires around as well. And I think it all goes to the integrity of the game. You need to have the best at what they do to ensure that you get the proper calls made all through the season.
And maybe
a lot is at stake.
And maybe I'm very optimistic, John, but I believe they will get this settled in time to start the season with the regular umpires and the regular players, and we'll get baseball back where it belongs.
John Hirschbeck of the American League was one of the umpires picketing out there with his brother Mark, who's a National League umpire. And John Hirschbeck, as you see Eric Fox getting ready to stand in, had asked us to say hello to his 8-year-old son Michael back home in Ohio. He had to go into the hospital today, and he just wanted to wish a happy Easter to Michael and his family back in Ohio.
And while you're doing that, John, I want to wish a happy Easter to my family back in California. I didn't get a chance to talk to them today.
Little too busy, eh?
Getting ready for this broadcast.
Well, I appreciate that earlier today you wished me happy Easter.
Yes.
Well, we're at long last underway here in Fort Myers. The pitch was ball one to Eric Fox. And as you see, we'll be keeping you abreast as to the count and the score and the inning throughout most of the ball game. That fastball is ball 2, 2-0. Now, Hansen is not a real hard thrower, but is known for his curveball. And he had a couple of very good years with the Seattle Mariners. Then he hurt himself. Last year he was with the Cincinnati Reds. Hansen at one time an 18-game winner in Seattle. 2-1 to Fox. And 3-1. 3-1. And ball 4. So Eric Fox gets a leadoff walk. Fox hitting leadoff tonight for the Rangers, but in the regular year it will be Otis Nixon who will bat leadoff. Otis picked up from these Boston Red Sox in the Jose Canseco trade. And Otis is just getting the night off. They had to come down the road, 40 miles or 50 miles from Port Charlotte, maybe not even that far.
I think what happens, John, is with the short spring training, they leave some guys back to get extra work each day.
Mark McLemore, formerly with the Baltimore Orioles, taking high. And Hansen has been high with most of his pitches. I think every fastball he's thrown has been up there. 1 ball, no strikes. The catcher, McFarland, out to speak with him briefly. By the way, we've just learned that Juan Gonzalez, who was scheduled to hit cleanup for the Rangers tonight, has just been scratched from the lineup because of spasms in his lower back. And so Sean Hare will be starting in left field instead of Juan Gonzalez. So we're sorry to hear about that. Back to first is Eric Fox. That's Big Mo Vaughn on the bag over there. Mark McLemore, a switch hitter, batting left-handed. Had a couple of pretty good years for the Baltimore Orioles the last 2 years. Surprisingly, McLemore, who's always been a second baseman, 2 years ago ended up being the everyday right fielder for the Orioles, and a good one. And he had his best year with the bat that same year. Hit 300 most of that season. So he can help you in the outfield, the infield, switch hitter, steals bases. He's got a base hit here. Fox to second. He will not challenge the arm of that man, Mark Whitten. Mark Whitten, I'm sure, will remind Red Sox fans of the old days of Dwight Evans, who had that great arm.
I think Whitten's arm is even better. He really has a great arm there in right field.
So Mark McLemore gets the base hit, and that will bring up Will Clark. Clark hit .329 last year, 7th in the American League, and he had 80 runs batted in before the strike. And the changeup is too low. It's called a strike. I beg your pardon. 1 strike to count. Once in a while, I just start doing a little umpiring myself.
I was going to say, you're second guessing them already.
Oh, no, that was the first guess, Joe.
Okay.
I just saw it and I called it.
Okay.
1 ball, 1 strike to count. There have been some odd occurrences around the exhibition ballparks with these amateur umpires. And many players have certainly not been pleased with it. Managers. And that's a called strike. And the fans have really been getting on the amateurs in some of these parts.
John, when you watch Will Clark hit, you're watching a real professional hitter. I mean, there's not a lot of things you can do to him that he hasn't seen before or know how to adjust to. And we've seen Hansen come with 2 off-speed pitches to get ahead, but can you put the third one past him? And I think the answer is no.
2-2 to Clark. Nobody out. There's Eric Fox at second base. Mark McLemore, the runner at first base. Just starting first inning. Change-up. Struck him out. He had it down.
Yes. Take a look at this pitch. It's a screwball or an off-speed pitch. It turns out to be a bad pitch, but starts in the strike zone and goes out. And that's a good pitch to throw with 2 strikes. Started in the strike zone, let it move out. One of the things I was talking to Will Clark about before the ball game is he said that because of the shortened spring training, a lot of guys are a little more anxious than normal. And it happens in the game sometimes. They rush up there to hit and don't get a good look at it.
This is Sean Hare rather than Juan Gonzalez. Sean Hare will turn, or just did turn, 28. He's from St. Louis. Last year, got up for a little bit in the big leagues with the New York Mets. H-A-R-E, Sean Hare. He hit 303 at Toledo, 278 at Norfolk, and then 225 and 40 at bats with the Mets. Trying to bring a run home here. Will Clark couldn't do it. 1 out, 2 men on. Fastball, 88 miles an hour on our Jugs gun on that one.
And it looks faster, John, because to the hitter simply because he throws a lot of off-speed pitches. Because I would have bet that fastball was much faster than 88 just looking at the other pitches that he's thrown.
Well, the other ones are coming in around 83. That's the fastest one we've had him tonight. Here's a look at it there. That's that off-speed delivery, 74.
Right.
1 ball, 2 strikes. But that's just what you were saying. He's changing speed.
Changing speed. You get a lot of pitchers who, you know, you want about an 8 to 10 mile difference between your fastball and your off-speed pitches anyway. You get a little slower than that, and your hitter can recheck. He can stride and then wait on the pitch.
Ooh, out. Slashed that one foul.
I think he was a little tardy on the fastball there.
Yeah, a little
bit, huh? Let's take a look at this fastball. Watch where he hits it. Now, that's about as late as you can hit a fastball, almost in the catcher's glove, and he gets a piece of it. That's the thing to do with 2 strikes.
And that's too high. 2-2. Nothing against Sean Hare, but I was kind of hoping to see Juan Gonzalez bat in this spot.
Well, I watched him take batting practice, and he looked like the same Juan Gonzalez, hitting line drives over the walls. He was swinging well.
Sean Hare, born in St. Louis, went to high school and then college in Michigan. But went to high school about 20 miles north of Tiger Stadium. And a Tigers scout saw him, and he actually started out in the Tigers farm system. And the Mets eventually claimed him on waivers. In the dirt, knocked down nicely by Mike McFarland. Foreman with Kansas City, now with the Boston Red Sox.
Very good job by McFarland. He's known for his offense more than his defense, but very good play there. Watch how he just keeps this ball in front of him. Just drops down, blocks it. Good job.
Hitting the sternum up there.
You're not supposed to try to catch that ball. You're supposed to use your body just to block it, and that's what he did.
3-2. We'll keep an eye on the runners here. Fox at second, McLemore at first. Now Hansen steps off the slab. This is the 22nd pitch about to be thrown in this inning by Eric Hansen. Getting his work in for sure. Getting a lot more than he'd perhaps figured in this first inning.
Now you see the sign given by McFarland. What he's doing is telling them if they run where he will throw the ball. You don't always throw to third if the guy at second gets a good jump.
They're not going. And it's driven deep into right center field, into the alleyway. It will go to the wall. Witten chases it down. Fox around third. He'll score. Right behind him is McLemore. He'll score. The relay to third. Two. A triple for Sean Hare. 2-0 Texas.
This is what you call a real good at-bat for a hitter, because he was behind the entire at-bat. He fought off a good fastball, fought off a good changeup, and then he gets a fastball middle of the plate in and drives it up the gap in right center field. That's good hitting when you can do that. Now, he's thrown him a lot. The pitch before this was a changeup. Tries to come inside with a fastball, and Hare gets around on it and pulls it in the gap in right center field. And by the time they get the ball back to the infield, he's safe at third with a triple. Good relay there.
Mickey Tentleton. And the fastball misses. 1 ball, no strikes. Tentleton just reporting to the Rangers camp on Thursday. He'd been down in that Devil's Island of spring training camps down in Homestead. And that's ball 2. 2-0 the count. Tentleton, in fact, was starting to play with his mind, being down there, not being able to comprehend why he wasn't able to get any kind of offer commensurate with his abilities, really. And he actually went home to Oklahoma. When he got there, he found out that the deal had been made for him to go to Texas, so he turned right back around and made it back here to Florida. The next morning, there he was at 7:30, bright and early, in the Rangers clubhouse down in the Fort Charlotte. Mo Vaughn got a tough hop, playing deep. That'll get the run home. Hare scores. Tentleton is retired, but gets a run batted in. And it is 3-0 Texas.
Yeah, this is a tough hop from Mo, but he does what you're supposed to do, get your body in front of it. If you're playing on the right side of the infield, you should always try to knock the ball down. Second baseman, first baseman can knock it down and still have plenty of time to get the hitter out.
Now Ivan Rodriguez. Tentleton did most of the catching in Detroit last year, but this man will do most of the catching in Texas. Ivan Rodriguez. And a curveball from Hansen, and it misses for ball 1.
Sorry, John.
2 down, nobody on. 3-0 Texas.
When Rodriguez first came up, they were comparing him, to Johnny Bench defensively, because he could catch the ball, he could throw, he could really throw.
Down the right field line. That's in there, fair ball. Witten gives chase. Rodriguez will pull up at second with a double. Witten kind of shows off the arm right there, firing it all the way in on the fly to Valentin. But Rodriguez was already there. You think that was unfair of them to make that comparison?
Well, I think it was at that point in his career, because, Johnny Bench did it for a long period of time. Here's a pitch. I thought it was a fastball in, but it's out over the plate. He just doesn't hit it that well. But he finds the right field line, and he goes into second with a double. There's the arm by Witten, all the way in the air.
Now that's a long way.
Long throw, yes.
John Cumberland, the new Boston pitching coach, out to speak with Eric Hansen. Closing in now on 30 pitches in this inning. 3-0. This is Rusty Greer. Greer, not well known outside of the ballpark at Arlington, but he hit .314 for the Rangers last year, about the equivalent of half a season. He got into 80 games, 277 at-bats, hit 10 home runs, had 46 RBIs, so he could repeat those numbers over a full season. That put him up over 90 RBIs and about 20 home runs.
And they would be ecstatic.
And they'll, I think they're going to give him a shot to, at least for a while, to see if that's the kind of hitter he really is. 2-0 to Greer. That's just what they need, somebody else who can hit.
Well, they did lose Canseco, so I guess they're thinking, Tettleton and Greer may be able to make up for that loss, power-wise, I mean.
Opened the year in AAA and got red hot when he came up to the big leagues in May. Pickoff at second. Back to the bag is Rodriguez, with Valentin, the shortstop, coming in on the pickoff play. 3-0, meanwhile, to Rusty Greer with another left-handed hitter, Mike Algarulo on deck. That fastball is going to full strike. Meanwhile, the Red Sox will be facing tonight that man, Bob Tewksbury. Been sitting in that dugout a good long time since he finished his warm-ups. 3-2 now. As we go along tonight, we'll talk about what the new general manager of the Rangers has done. He took a risk making that Canseco trade as he did, but it may pay off for him. Popped up, and this will come back onto the net behind the plate. Out of play. 3-2 the count. McFarland gave chase. Doug Melvin, the new GM, and he traded Canseco to Boston, and what he got was Otis Nixon. There's Canseco talking to Frank White. That's Jim Rice, one of the great sluggers of his time in the foreground, now the hitting instructor. But Melvin made the trade, and he got Otis Nixon, and he also got Luis Ortiz, a rookie, up out of the minor leagues, good hitting prospect. People thought he should have gotten more, but again, we'll talk about it later, how he sort of creatively turned it into more. Well, the Red Sox are gone, having scored 3 times. Canseco will be coming up third. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball from Florida. Texas 3, the Red Sox nothing. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan. Kevin Kennedy, formerly the manager of the Texas Rangers, has moved across the diamond and is now managing the Boston Red Sox after being fired by the Rangers. Here's his lineup for the game tonight. The new second baseman, Luis Alicea, formerly of the Cardinals, at second. It'll be John Valentin at short. Then Canseco, the DH. Vaughn at first. Witten in right. Greenwell in left. McFarland, the catcher. So that's a long list there of potential 20 or more home run men. In the case of Canseco and Vaughn in particular, you know it could be many more. Naring at third, and then Tinsley in center field hitting 9th. On the mound for the Rangers, another former Cardinal, Bob Tewksbury, in effect coming on to be one of the guys to help bolster their pitching staff. He's replacing John Burkett, who was a Ranger in name only for a few months here.
Well, there you see last year's stats for Tewksbury, 190 hits. And his earned run average of 5.32 was very high. He has been in the low 3s in the past. His real strength is that he throws strikes with all of his pitches. Very rarely walks anyone. Fastball, changeup, curveball. Take a look at the defense. And for the Rangers, when you talk defense, you start with the catcher, Ivan Rodriguez. He has won Gold Gloves in the American League the last couple of years. One of the better throwing catchers in all of baseball.
I'm trying to get him.
3-0. Texas is leading as the Red Sox come to bat with Luis Alicea, a switch hitter, batting left-handed. And that's in there for a strike. And Alicea knows better maybe than anybody else in this ballpark.
Yes.
Played right behind Tewksbury over there in St. Louis. Pretty good on-base average. They'd like to see him duplicate that at least. Check swing, foul. 2 strikes.
As a leadoff hitter, when you take a pitch from Tewksbury, you're not trying to get ahead in the count. What you're really trying to do is just gauge the speed of his pitches because you know he's not going to walk you.
And Tewksbury, and he'll often have hitters in this hole. It is 0-2. Just off the outside.
And when you talk about Alicea, he's a guy that I've watched since he was in college, Florida State. I always thought that he was going to be a much better player. I thought he was going to become a star in the major leagues, and he still can. But he has a lot of ability.
And he's hammered to right field and over the head of Greer. He'll have to chase it. Alicea easily into second with a stand-up double.
Not a good pitch by Tewksbury. This pitch is up, and when you're ahead in the count, he always wants to get the ball down. That's a hanging curveball, and Alicea rips it down the right field line for a double. Actually, pretty much straight away right field.
So Joe up here in the booth almost jumped out of his seat when he saw that one hang up there. This is where he started to take a swing from up here. This is John Valentin. Now, this is another guy. I think outside of New England, he's not much known, but I mean, this guy can hit. There are not many shortstops around who can hit with him. He hit .316 last year. And remember, he only played 84 games. He had some time on the disabled list. Still had 9 homers, 26 doubles. and 49 RBIs in 84 games. He knows how to find that wall at Fenway Park. Just talking to Johnny Pesky, still with the Red Sox as a consultant and coach. That one is drilled down the left field line. Foul. It had the distance, but just to the left of that 330-foot marker. Among all the shortstops in the majors, Valentin had the best slugging percentage, and better than even Ripken, who of course is famous for being a heavy-hitting shortstop.
Pretty good company there. Will Cordero and John Valentin, Cal Ripken.
Jose Canseco on deck. Here's Alicea at second base. 2-1 the count now to Valentin. Now you get Valentin in that 2 spot with all of his hitting prowess, and he's still a young guy. Then Canseco, Vaughn, Witten, Greenwell, and McFarland. I mean, from 2 through 7. Now that's similar to what you used to always expect from the Red Sox. The curveball. That curveball, Joe, came in at 66 miles an hour.
It was not only great speed, but it broke sharply. There are a lot of guys can throw slow curves, but they do not break sharply. That was a slow curve that broke sharply.
2-2. Popped him up. Will Clark. And that's one away. I'll bring up Canseco, who's always hit well at Fenway Park. Never better than last June at Fenway in a 3-game series. He went deep once. A shot up under the net. And then a soaring, typical Canseco majestic blast over the light standard. Then against Danny Darwin. Man, heading for New Hampshire. And then finally, for the 4th time in 3 games, another one of those soaring, aesthetically pleasing Canseco homer. That's the kind of homer I associate with Canseco.
Well, he said to me before the game, he said he hits a lot of high fly balls that will find the street in Fenway that were outs in Texas.
Runner at second, 1 out. Canseco facing Tewksbury.
I'll give you another dilemma that the pitchers face in a second when they face Canseco in Fenway Park.
The curveball pays back.
One of the real problems the pitchers are going to have is that Canseco's weakness is inside. You try to pitch him up above the belt and in. But if you pitch him inside in Fenway Park, you're pitching to where he wants to hit the ball. So what are you going to do? I think they're going to have to change their pitching patterns.
The curveball, strike 2. Mo Vaughn is on deck. Well, Canseco, Joe, has gone from being a real wild swinger over the years to a guy who also hits for a respectable average. I mean, he's become a thinking man's hitter up there.
Sometimes you think too much, though. Because he's 0-2 right now.
They used to say that about Mike Schmidt. Right?
Yeah, you're right. And they were right.
Trying to sneak one over the outside, but missed with it. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
But again, we have not seen him come inside on Canseco. I think maybe he's just trying to set him up because he knows during the season he will come inside.
Over at second base, that is Alicea, who led off the inning with a double. Texas is leading 3-0 here. Canseco hit .282 last year with Texas with 31 home runs. The curve, good eye, dropped low.
Now that's an example of what you're talking about, being a little more disciplined, not a wild swinger. Because that pitch started in the strike zone, and a lot of times in the past, Canseco would have swung at that pitch. But maturity and more experience as a hitter now helps him.
Fastball, a soaring fly ball out in the right center, playable for Fox. Alicea tags at second, and he will make it into third. Benji Gill cuts the throw off.
Now, that was a big league fly ball. I mean, there are some guys, when they hit them, you never think they're going to come down. We'll take a look at the swing. It's a fastball out over the plate. He just missed this ball. He gets it on the good part of the bat. That's why it goes so high. But he just got under it enough to keep it in the ballpark. But that was good hitting by Canseco. He went out there to get that pitch. He just missed it.
Jose Canseco. Now, having gotten past Canseco, here is Big Mo Vaughn. Ball one from Tewksbury. Big Mo. And this just got to help Mo. I mean, he has not had much help. Teams like to pitch around him. But look at that. 310, 26 home runs last year. In 111 games for Mo. Mo doesn't consider himself a home run hitter. He considers himself just a good hitter.
That's exactly right. But a lot of that came, you know, with his conversation with Easler, too. The hit man, they wanted him to hit the ball to all field. And Mo has done that. When he first came up, he tried to pull the ball too much. But now he goes the other way, hits the ball to right field if you pitch him inside. So he's maturing as a hitter as well. He's still learning. And you know, when you talk about players, to me, Mo Vaughn is a class act. Here's a guy that does a lot in the community. I mean, he's just a good person to have on your ball club.
Mo takes it seriously, the idea that a lot of kids see him as a role model.
Exactly.
Always looking to give something back to the community. Supports both he and the Red Sox. He gets pretty busy during the year, going to schools. And I imagine when Big Mo steps into a classroom with some young kids, he holds their attention. Right. Yeah. 3-1. 2 down. Alicea at third base. Big bouncer to second. McLemore, high hop. And that's the inning. So Tewksbury gets through it. With 1 hit and nothing more. Alicea's leadoff double is wasted. 3-0 Texas over Boston. Mike Pagliarulo will be coming up to lead it off for Texas, inning number 2. The Rangers and the Red Sox on ESPN's Sunday Night Baseball. This is John Miller, along with Joe Morgan, your Sunday night telecasters, back for our 6th year with Sunday Night Baseball. It's turning into a long run here, Joe.
Yeah. Kind of like one of those regular television series.
And they said it wouldn't last. The critics didn't give us 2 weeks, Joe. Actually, that's not true, but it makes a good story. 1 strike to Mike Pagliarulo. He played for the Cebu Lions last year, the Japanese Pacific League. Cebu Lions, sort of the Atlanta Braves of the Japanese leagues over there, Joe. They're perennially an outstanding ball club. But Pagliarulo got over there, and the second baseman on the Cebu team got hurt, and he ended up playing second base most of the time when he played, which is not a position he was all that familiar with. But he said the manager asked him to do it, and he said, yes, sir. And over he went.
I didn't tell you, I almost played for the Cebu Lions, did I?
No, you never did.
Oh, I'll tell you. That's a story for another day, but I'll tell you one of these days.
Well, tell it to me now.
I almost played for them.
Well, was it a secret?
Well, yes.
All these years, 6 years now, and you never told me that story.
Well, when I left the Reds, before I signed with the Astros, I was contemplating playing for the Cebu Lions.
Strike 3 over the inside corner. Pagliarulo is retired for out number 1. Opening night a week from Tuesday will be here in Florida, across the state in Miami. Mike Piazza and the Los Angeles Dodgers meet Gary Sheffield and the Florida Marlins, 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. And then the next day, everybody else will open, and that will be a triple header on ESPN, the Yanks and Rangers. Joe and I will be in Denver at Coors Field, the Mets and Rockies, and then the Astros and the Padres. So we'll be all over opening day, both Tuesday and Wednesday, right here on ESPN. Here is Benji Gill, 248 at Oklahoma City last year, AAA ball.
And he is a big, he can plug a big hole for the Rangers. I mean, they're looking for big things for him. And he's got a lot of ability. He's capable of hitting well, and he's a good shortstop. He can do a lot of things well. He just has to put it all together.
They're looking to be a stronger team defensively.
Right.
And fortunately for Gill, I don't think they much care how well he hits, because they just want him to concentrate on the defense.
Right.
They got plenty of guys who can hit.
But it helps you to play defense if you hit well. Take my word for it.
Foul Foul ball right down off his foot. So you almost went to Japan, though. You left me hanging there.
Well, I almost went. Then I decided I wanted to go back to Houston. I went back to play for the Astros. There you see the unearned runs that the Rangers have allowed in the 90s. We knew the Dodgers have had a lot of trouble defensively, but so have the Rangers.
Red Sox have not been that strong either. Curveball from Hanson, foul ball.
You know, the funny thing, we talk about guys who are good glove men and that they play good defense, but it always helps their defense if they can hit a little bit, because just your psyche is good if you can hit a little bit. You don't want to be a guy hitting 210 because your defense will suffer in the end, because mentally it gets you down.
A couple of guys who know about hitting well.
Yeah.
Clark and Tettleton. Strike three. Hanson with his second consecutive strikeout. 88 miles an hour, the reading on that one.
Well, again, we talked about it at the beginning. He has a good enough fastball. He just doesn't seem to rely on it enough. But that's a good spot for it, and he gets this third strikeout. He set Palarulo up with the fastball as well.
Eric Fox, he led off the game with a walk, starting a 3-run rally. 82 on that one. I wonder sometimes, Joe, we're getting him with this fastball between 88, 82, 83. If maybe he's changing speeds on the fastball from time to time.
Well, a lot of it has to do with the grip. See, he turned that pitch over a little bit. He was trying to start it inside and make it run back to the inside corner. That one would be slower than his riding fastball. You grip the riding fastball across the seams and you get your fastest reading. You get a little bit off center and you get a few miles off.
Ooh. Speaking of changing speeds, 1-2 the count to Fox.
Looks like a completely different pitcher here this inning, doesn't it?
It's just the Hanson that the Red Sox will be hoping to see this year. Tried to curve it, missed with it badly. 2-2.
I don't know if it's just Hanson this inning or it's just McFarland, but they're mixing their pitches better. They're changing speeds, moving the ball in and out.
High in the air. Center field, there's Tinsley. And that's the inning. 3 up and 3 down. Mark Whitten will be coming up. The last of the inning, Greenwell and McFarland behind him, and the Red Sox trailing the Rangers 3-0. Red Sox trailing Texas 3-0 as we go to the last of the second on this Easter Sunday. Also in the midst of Passover, a very special holiday weekend. And Mark Whitten coming up in his first game with Boston on Thursday against Minnesota. He blasted one right out into that pond. The other ballpark here in Fort Myers, Lee County Stadium, the home of the Twins. Mark Whitten, 14 homers last year in the shortened season, 25 the year before in his last full season. Curveball, base hit against his former teammate. Whitten with the single against Tewksbury. Well, the only hits for Boston so far by former Cardinals against the former Cardinal. Alicea got the other one.
It's a curveball. Again, this pitch is up. It's not exactly where Tewksbury's trying to get it. See, that's about belt high. And Whitten, being as strong as he is, just kind of muscles this ball to right field. He was fooled a little bit by the speed, but he just muscled it in the right field.
Here's Mike Greenwell, 269 last year, which is probably his worst year. I mean, it's
batting average-wise,
poor figures. He's usually up around 300 when everything's right with him. He's had a lot of injury problems the last 3 or 4 years. Mike Greenwell. Now, he's got more hair in his face these days than he's got on his head.
And he blamed it on Jim Rice. He said, Rice made me do it. I saw when we talked before the game.
You have 5 different guys now who basically shave their heads. Mo Vaughn, of course, has always sported that look.
Whitten has his shave.
There is the left fielder Hare. Chalk one up for positioning. He didn't even have to move over in left center field. 1 away. Now Mike McFarland comes up. McFarland with Kansas City last year had 14 home runs. And he's a guy pretty steady in a bad home run ballpark. He always was somewhere around 20 home runs in full seasons.
Well, you always figure that Fenway will help your production, I think Canseco said that he thinks he's going to have at least 10 more home runs just because of the ballpark. I don't know exactly how he got to that number, but he said he hit 10 more.
Canseco, when he was at his best with Oakland, used to hit 40. So maybe he'll go for 50.
Maybe he'll get the 50-50 club again. I don't think he can steal the 50 bases again. He's a pretty big guy now, and that takes a toll on your body.
I don't see the Red Sox asking guys to steal a whole lot. The Red Sox, they're going to go. They get on base, you're going to stay there until the next guy hits
hits it. But I also should correct myself. I said 50-50. I meant 40-40 club, of course.
I thought you meant
he would do it.
He predicted he'd go.
Oh, yeah, he did predict that once, but no.
Jose Canseco, the only man in the history of baseball ever to get 40 homers and 40 steals in the same year.
That is quite an accomplishment.
Not that he was the only guy who had the ability ever to do it, but he's the only one who actually did it.
So
Bonds would have done it, I think, last year.
Yes.
Had there not been the strike.
Good pitch.
And he's out at first base. Ivan Rodriguez, he's a weapon with that arm, and that is not unusual. That is a strike him out, pick him off. Double play to end the inning. And Mark Whitten, he hadn't seen Rodriguez before. He filed that one away. 3-0 Texas. Sunday night baseball from Fort Myers. The Rangers 3, the Red Sox nothing at the end of 2 innings. A new pitcher's come out with the Red Sox by the name of Joe Hudson, and there you see his numbers last year at New Britain in AA ball, 5-3 with a 3.92 earned run average. Well, this has been a very busy spring for general managers all around baseball, and there is Dan Duquette, the GM of the Boston Red Sox, who has joined us now. In the past 8 days, he's traded his third baseman and a pitcher to the Cardinals to get Mark Whitten and Real Cormier. He signed 7 free agents, including Mike McFarland and Eric Hansen, whom we've seen tonight, and 5 others. And he, of course, has been signing everybody else on the roster as well. Busy, busy, busy for Dan Duquette. But he loves it. Is that right, Dan? Am I right when I say that?
Well, it's a lot of fun, but we've had this condensed signing period, which is pretty good by me. You know, you don't have a lot of time to negotiate, and with the work stoppage and all, a lot of moves that you would have made through the winter, say at the winter meeting or throughout the offseason in the Hot Stove League, you had to make them here in spring training.
Mike McLemore is the hitter against Joe Hudson, and he'll be followed by Will Clark and then Sean Hare. McLemore is single to right in that 3-run first inning rally. 3-0 Texas is leading. Center field, base hit. McLemore is 2 for 2. Now, what about the Red Sox? I mean, you've made all of these moves about what we've just spoken, and yet there's talk that maybe you're still in the market for an experienced center fielder. Any truth to that?
Well, we're going to take a look at Lee Tinsley. He's got great speed. He had a great year defensively last year and did a good job with stolen bases. So we'd like to take a look at him. We picked up this kid, Troy O'Leary, from the Brewers the other day, a left-hand hitting outfielder. We might also take a look at him. But I think we'll probably take a look at those guys before we decide if we need another outfielder out there.
Are there other outfielders available if you did decide to go after somebody more experienced?
Well, there's been some talk about Andy Van Slyke coming to the Red Sox, but I think what we'd like to do is take a look at these 2 guys and see if they can win the job or stake a claim on it and establish themselves as major leaguers.
Will Clark, the hitter, 1 ball and 1 strike to count. Clark struck out his first time. This is Joe Morgan over here. Joe, Dan Duquette.
Hi, Joe.
We were in the National League together.
That's right. Out in San Francisco a couple of times.
Now that's high. 2-1 to Clark.
What about your pitching staff? I mean, you've signed some pitchers, and there are a couple of guys still out there. I mean, you got Zane Smith out there, Belcher, Finley. I hear maybe on the block. Are you looking to add anybody?
Well, we could use a little bit more pitching depth. We hope Hansen gives us some good innings. Real Cormier we picked up from the Cardinals, and he should help us out. And Frankie Rodriguez had a great year last year. He led the AAA league in innings pitched and strikeouts, and we've got high hopes for him. And we like this kid Tim Van Egmond, who pitched yesterday. He came up last year, got a couple of wins for us. But you know, ideally we'd like to add a little bit of pitch and depth. Clemens has a inflammation in the back of his shoulder. You know, that may be a case of a little bit too much too soon here after the long layoff. So there's a question mark there, but I think we could use a little bit more pitching depth, ideally.
3-2 to Will Clark with McLemore, who's a very fast runner over at first base, so he may take off here with Sean Hare on deck. Dan Duquette, the general manager of the Boston Red Sox, is here with us. There goes McLemore, and a pop foul will come out of play off to the left. 3-2.
I think you will always send the runner with 3-2 count with Will Clark at the plate, because he can put the ball in play, and anytime you open up a hole for him, it makes his chances of getting a base hit that much better.
Now, Dan, when the Montreal Expos started trading people, all of a sudden Marquise Grissom was gone to Atlanta, Ken Hill gone to St. Louis, John Wetland to the Yankees. I know in Baltimore, where I live, a lot of the newspaper writers and fans calling talk shows were incensed that the Orioles didn't go out and get some of those people. What was the reaction in Boston? Were people getting on your case for not getting any of those people?
Well, it was about the same as you heard in Baltimore, you know.
Well, why didn't you get any of those people then, Dan?
Well, we had a good chance to get Wetland in the offseason under the implemented system. We did a deal with him where he would have come here. On the trade market, we didn't have exactly what Montreal was looking for in a trade to satisfy them. The Yankees did, and consequently, that's why he ended up with the Yankees. In Kenny Hill's case, Kenny's from Boston. He's from Lynn. Kenny didn't show a lot of interest in Boston when he was a free agent under that implemented system, so we didn't really pursue him because we didn't think that was a long-term fit for the ball club. And in Grissom's case, the same thing when he was a free agent. He didn't show a lot of interest in Boston, so we were looking at it from the long term. Yes, we would have liked to have Wetland. We didn't get him. The Yankees got him in the trade. But those other two guys, while they're good ball players, we didn't think it was going to be a long-term fit for the ball club in Boston.
All right. Was Sean Hare, who had a two-run triple his first time up now. Actually walked to Will Clark, Joe Hudson in a hole, 2 men on, nobody out. Here in the third inning with his Red Sox already trailing 3-0 to the Rangers. Was part of the deal with Wetland that the Yankees offered quite a bit of money in that deal as well?
Well, I think that the Yankees had what the Expos were looking for. They got a little bit more depth in their minor league system. In terms of financial commitment, we made a real strong commitment to Wetland in the offseason, but it was, you know, it was just dollars. There wasn't talent involved, and in terms of depth to their minor leagues, I think the Yankees are a little bit ahead of us at this point, and we're working to build that up with the Red Sox, but right now they had what the Expos were looking for.
That's a ball outside, 1-2 straight down. One of the oddities of the Expos losing these players, I mean, a lot of people have immediately pointed out, look at that, we're back into the old system, and now the small market teams are suffering and so on and so forth, except as you already pointed out, under the implemented system, which the owners wanted, the Expos were going to lose all 3 of those guys and not get anything. In a way, they were actually better off with the deals they made. They got some people in return.
Well, they got some talent back, and that's what we found attractive about going after Wetland. It was just going to cost us dollars to sign him. We weren't going to have to give up talent, and we were going to do a deal on the long term, which is what we preferred at that point.
And let me ask you a question about the system, the one that's in place now and the one that was implemented. Where do you stand on both, or do you think that there's a happy medium someplace in between?
Well, I think in the negotiations, the owners wanted a change in the current system. I think a lot of these transactions and these trades going from the small market clubs to the major market clubs represent the owner's concern that, you know, you're going to have a two-tiered system. You're going to have the major market clubs being the haves and having all the stars. And you're going to have some minor market clubs that aren't going to have a lot of talent. They're going to lose some of their talent to the major market clubs. And we all know to have a competitive league and keep fan interest going throughout baseball, we need to have some sort of parity. And I think that's what the owners were looking for when they were looking for a tax or some sort of cap in the negotiations.
All right, I understand that, but what about the question you said before? You were going to be able to get Wetland without giving up any talent. So all Montreal was going to get back. Well, Montreal wasn't going to get anything. I guess that's why I'm asking which system. I don't think either one of them works properly, I guess is the point. The one that's in place now doesn't work properly for the owners. The one that they were implementing doesn't work properly for the players. At least that's what the players say. And I guess my point is there has to be a happy medium here someplace, because otherwise we're going to be fighting forever.
Well, there's a lot of ways to skin a cat, and
Right.
I think you're right. I think there is a system there that would satisfy the owners and would also satisfy the players. That, you know, we haven't been able to get to it.
Right.
But there is something out there that would satisfy those needs. But it's a very delicate balance between the clubs, and it's a very delicate balance between the Players Association and the owners.
Bobbled by Valentin. He recovers and he throws him out. Runners advancing. McLemore to third, Clark to second, but Valentin recovered very nicely after initially bobbling that ball.
But that was a very good play by Valentin in that he charged the ball to try to get the double play. If you wait back, sure, you get the big hop. But he tried to make the major league play here. He came to get the ball. He was going to be able to make the double play if he catches it cleanly. He doesn't, so he takes the one out at first base. That's the gamble you take. But the easy way is to back up. He made the proper play right there.
Well, now they're going to walk Mickey Tettleton intentionally. The switch hitter with all of that power. First base is empty. And they'll go after the right-handed batter, Ivan Rodriguez, with a chance to get a double play ball to end the inning. I guess Joe White face both of them here. Maybe you get out of the inning by just facing the one.
Well, I think this is the proper move because hopefully if you're the Red Sox, you get Rodriguez to hit a ground ball and you're out of the inning.
Terry Kennedy, he was fired by Texas for 2 days, and Terry Kennedy. Kevin Kennedy, I beg your pardon, Kevin Kennedy, fired for just a couple of days, and then all of a sudden hired by you, Dan, to manage the Red Sox. And you and he go back a ways again.
Well, Kevin and I worked together with the Expos. When I got the GM's job there, I had hired him as the field coordinator, and he ran the minor league system. And then when Philippe Alou became the manager, he came up and served as his bench coach, and he did a nice job. He had done a good apprenticeship with the Dodgers. He managed at every level. He went to winter ball for a couple of years, and he's a good field general. He's got a good presence, and I think he's going to do a good job for us. He's run a good spring training camp so far, and our players have responded to it.
Ivan Rodriguez against Joe Hudson. Bases loaded, 1 out.
Now, speaking of Terry Kennedy, he was a little better hitter, though.
Yeah, and Terry, he was a very good hitter.
Yeah.
And a good guy, too. I always liked him, and I try to give him a plug whenever I can.
Okay.
They were both catchers with the Orioles. So.
Boulevard and foul ground. And he'll run it back. So Rodriguez fouls out the first, 2 down, and Rusty Greer will be coming up. Now, Dan, you are the general manager of the Red Sox, but also you grew up with the Red Sox. I mean, you're a Red Sox fan since you can remember, I guess.
Well, my family were big Red Sox fans growing up in Massachusetts, and if you're in New England, you know a lot about the Red Sox, and you know that affinity's passed down from generation to generation, and that's the way it was in my house.
And when you grew up as a Red Sox fan, the Red Sox always had sluggers. I mean, they hit home runs at Fenway Park. Red Sox fans always liked that thing. I'm sure that the Duquette family liked it.
Well, they sure did.
Sox lost, but they hit 5 homers.
There's no defense for that ball when it goes out of the ballpark, and that's why we added a couple of power hitters this offseason in Canseco and Witten, McFarland. They should add a little bit more long ball to Fenway, which is something that we've been lacking for the last couple of years, and make for a more interesting and exciting team. I mean, when people come out to the ballpark, they come out to see runs scored. And, you know, back in Boston, they have loved watching Jose Canseco for the other team. In fact, they loved to root against him coming in there when he was in Texas and Oakland. Now they're going to get a chance to cheer for him in a Red Sox uniform.
But I have to think that that's an excellent trade on your part, just as my personal opinion. Obviously, we'll have to wait and see. But because it doesn't matter when Canseco walks into the batter's box, he gets your attention. And that's important in this market.
Left center, Tinsley. He's got it. And that's the inning. Dan Duquette, the general manager of the Boston Red Sox, have been with us. Dan, thank you.
Thanks a lot, John. I want to wish a happy Easter to my mom back in Dalton, Mass, and all the Duquettes out there. Thanks a lot.
3-0 Rangers. Sunday night baseball from Fort Myers, Florida. Exhibition action. The Texas Rangers 3, the Boston Red Sox 0.
There's an Easter bunny.
My favorite kind, a chocolate one.
Oh, another one.
Hey, that's David Letterman's line from the Academy Awards. Want to buy a bunny? No. It was a monkey.
Yeah, I
beg your pardon.
Yeah.
Strike 1 to Tim Naring. Naring hitting 8th in the order. Facing Bob Tewksbury. He's only thrown 25 pitches in the first 2 innings. He's the kind of guy that can go 9 innings and throw 90 pitches.
That's true. Well, he doesn't waste a lot of pitches, and he doesn't throw a lot of balls. He's usually ahead in the count.
On a 2-strike count, you saw there. The thing about it, I mean, Tewksbury, he's not going to throw you a strike. It's 0-2. You're not going to get a strike.
Right. It's just a little bit off the plate, just a little inside, a little outside.
But like
he's
that
not going to walk you.
It'll look like a strike when it's coming in. 2 out of every 3 pitches for strikes. Right up the middle. McLemore from his knee. Off the bag, and it's a base hit for Naring.
I don't know if we have a view of that, but McLemore didn't get a good jump on that ball. That's why he ended up diving for it. We'll try to take a look at it. I don't know. My view saw him. He broke a little late. See how he had to run away from it because he broke late. Tough play to throw from your knees in the outfield. Most second basemen can't do that. It takes a real strong arm. Manny Trio could do it, but very few others.
He had one of the great arms of any second base.
He could just snap it from right here, and it looks like a rifle shot.
He had a shortstop type arm. And strike one to Lee Tinsley.
I always said if I had an arm like Manny, I wouldn't have been any good because I'd always want to show it off.
Oh, he showed it off.
Yeah, but he could do it. He had it down to a science.
Just kind of
just waited.
Sidearm it.
Yeah, he just waited till you ran halfway down the line and said, "Are you there yet?"
You wait for it, and then
yeah,
there it went. Lee Tinsley hit 222 and 144 at bats for the Red Sox last year with 13 steals. Covers a lot of ground in center field. Dan Duquette just told us that they're going to give him a look out there. There's been some talk going around, though, that the Red Sox may have some interest in Steve Finley. Now, Dan Duquette would not confirm that for us, but general managers usually don't, not when their talks are ongoing.
Well, he doesn't want to seem too anxious. Here's a little nice backdoor breaking ball. See, it starts outside and then just slide like a little slider right on the outside edge. You see, Tinsley thought it was going to be outside, and it just caught the outside corner. Good pitch there by Tewksbury.
There's Finley now with the San Diego Padres after that huge trade between the Padres and the Astros during the winter. 12 players involved. Leadoff man Luis Alicea, 1 out, runner at first. Alicea doubled his first time. And he might do it again. We'll see. In quickly is Greer. He'll hold Alicea to a single. But over to third base goes Naring. Alicea pounding down off that hard dirt in front of the plate. And the Red Sox are in business now with Valentin coming up.
It's a sinker from Tewksbury. See the ball going down, and he hits the top of it. And he chops it over Will Clark's head at first base. No chance for Clark to make a play. Naring around to third easily. And the Red Sox have runners at first and third.
Well, Rusty Greer was way over in right center. He really hustled over there to get that ball. Red Sox down by 3, but with a threat here. Here's Valentin. And Tewksbury is getting into the big part of the Boston order. Canseco on deck. Strike. And Valentin didn't seem so sure.
I think the other thing with Tewksbury is, you know, this early in spring training, he's probably getting close to his limit as well as, when I say limit of having some control and good stuff at the same time. Oh, he's only thrown 34 pitches? Well, maybe he can throw a few more there.
Well, he got here a little late, too, don't forget.
Yes.
Just signed a few days ago. 0-2 the count to Valentin. John Valentin was a teammate in college of his current Red Sox teammate, Mo Vaughn. They both went to Seton Hall. For a while, they were roommates at Seton Hall. Valentin, not quite as gregarious as Big Mo, but he's putting up some big numbers there for the Red Sox at shortstop. And I was on a cruise with him, Joe, last November. These baseball cruise, a lot of ball players on a cruise ship in the Caribbean. And word came down that there was a report that the Red Sox were probably going to get Canseco. He wanted to throw a party for everybody in the ship. There goes the runner. Alicea. Throw! He's out!
a chance to see the throwing of Pudge Rodriguez. He picks a runner off. Now he fires to second base in time to get Alicea. Let's see if he looks at the runner at third. No, he does not, and that's the proper way to do it. See, you catch catchers come up, look at third to hold a runner and then throw, and Alicea would have beaten that. He knew that they were not trying a double steal, so he went right after the runner.
Off the fists, foul. And Rodriguez and Clark get chased, but it's back out of play. Alicea thrown out. Had only four steals for the Cardinals last year.
In that situation, being truthful with you, with one out and a runner at third, you can't get thrown out. You have to have a good enough jump that you're going to make it. Otherwise, you might as well stay at first base where you could, the runner, you have a chance for a big inning.
Well, and also, he might have had a good enough jump against some catchers, but not against Ivan Rodriguez.
Right, and you have to remember who is catching and things like that.
Foul ball.
But again, you have to give Rodriguez credit because he realized with no one out there not trying a double steal. So there was no reason for him to look at the runner at third. But a lot of catchers out of habit will come up, look at third, and that split second of hesitation allows the runner to steal second base.
In other words, before it ever happened, he already
knew if he goes,
decided in his mind, what if?
It's not a double steal.
At third by Pagliarulo. And he may have a sore hand. That was a smash off the bat of Valentin. And Canseco will not swing a bat in this inning. Sunday Night Baseball, 3-0 Rangers leading the Red Sox as the Rangers come up. We talked a little bit ago when Mo Vaughn was up about how Mike Easler used to work with him. And we talked to Mo Vaughn about his relationship with Mike.
I still talk to Mike, and we'll continue to talk to Mike. I think he was more like a friend than anything, and in terms of being my teacher, I learned a tremendous amount from him. So it'll be different, but you still got to go out there and play your game, and I think, he would want, for me to go out there and just be the player that I am.
All right, this is Mike Pagliarulo leading it off against the new pitcher, Jeff Pierce, now pitching for Boston here in the 4th inning, with Texas leading 3-0. A lot of controversy, of course, because Mike Easler was a very popular figure with many of the young Red Sox hitters. And he is no longer the hitting coach for the Red Sox. That's a base hit for Pagliarulo. He will go back to first base as the left fielder Greenwell hurried it back in. But it had to do partly, I guess, Joe, with the replacement players. Easler did not want to coach with the replacement players. In fact, we have a quote of one of the things that he apparently has said about it. He says, how does that look, replacements making more than a major league hitting coach? So,
and and that part of it I agree with. I don't want to get into all the other specifics of the incident, but I agree that a major league coach should be making more than replacement players.
Right up the middle by Benji Gill and through past the diving Alicea. Stopping at second is Pagliarulo. So back-to-back singles for the Rangers. And now we move to the top of the batting order with 2 men on and nobody out. Benji Gill with a single to center that just barely made it through. Eric Fox will come up. Pagliarulo has filed a complaint with the National Labor Relations Board. Easler, what did I say, Pagliarulo? Mike is fine with the NLRB and with the Rangers and everybody else. Mike Easler, wrong Mike there. Mike Easler has filed a complaint with the NLRB. And apparently, Joe, and I can't say I'm an expert on the NLRB and all of that or on his case, but apparently it has to do with the fact that the coaches and the managers are connected with the union. Even though the union doesn't bargain for them specifically. And his feeling is that he is allowed to have a sympathy strike without getting pay when the players are out on strike. And then when everything's back to normal, to be allowed to go back to his old job. And that was not an option given to him. So he's filing a complaint with the NLRB over that. Jim Rice was named the hitting instructor when Pagliarulo was not there after he said he was not coming in, and now Rice has, when Easler said he was not coming in, and now Rice has become the permanent Red Sox hitting coach, with Easler now just being out of a job.
Yeah, and I think it's a difficult situation for both Jim Rice and for Easler, obviously. Jim's happy to be the hitting coach for the Red Sox. I mean, he played all those years there and was a great player there. And this may be something that he's really aspired to having a job with the Red Sox. So it may get me a little bit more money anyway. You want to know how?
Get you a little more money?
Yeah, well, Jim Rice says he's going to play me some golf and he's going to give me 2 a side. So I think I'll be able to make a little money out of that deal.
Well, Easler probably make you part of the complaint then. 1-2 the count. Fox bunting with 2 strikes. Pierce in time at third to get Pagliarulo. Finally, I said Pagliarulo, and I meant Pagliarulo.
The right guy, right?
Man. So the sacrifice does not work. Fox heading into the force play. And you've got 2 men on like that. You've got to have a great bunt because it is a force play at third base. And it was not.
No, that was not a good bunt. Obviously, when you're bunting in that situation, you have to make the third baseman field the ball. You push it hard down the third base line. That's where the bunt should go, not back to the pitcher.
Mark McLemore, 2 for 2. 2 for 3. And a double play. Benji Gill took off, and Ballington was the only man within 35 feet of second base, and he took the throw for the double play. Canseco, Vaughn, and Witten. 3 Red Sox, nothing. Last of the 4th from Fort Myers. Jose Canseco coming up for Boston. Roger McDowell on the pitch now for the Rangers.
John, let's take a look at an old swing by Jose Canseco. And I want to talk to you a little bit about balance. Now watch this balance when he swings. Watch what. We'll draw a line. Look at this line. That is balance right there. If your head and your body is in the complete alignment, that is a perfect balanced swing. And you can see he stays right there throughout the swing. You'll hear me talk about balance throughout the year. And let's take a look at Canseco now and see if he maintains that balance again.
New pitcher for Texas. It's, as we mentioned, the veteran Roger McDowell.
There you see Canseco's numbers through 94.
Canseco didn't like that call. 0-2 the count. You see, 266 career, 282 last year. His on-base average was up. It was a very good year for Canseco.
And a bounce-back year for him.
He had 31 home runs last year and didn't even get to play the last 47 games because of the strike. Keeps the ball down. That's his stock in trade. Great sinker ball.
In fact, John, he has been known to have a super sinker at times. A lot of guys think that he may be doctoring the ball because it does explode. The bottom just falls out of it on occasion. Again, Canseco showing good discipline, not going after pitches just off the plate, even though he's down. He was down in the count 0-2. Tough pitch. Well, we'll take a look and you'll see the difference. Maybe you'll say, well, yeah, when a guy gets a hit, he's in balance. When he doesn't, he's out of balance. And that is true in a lot of cases. We'll take a look here. Now, let's take a look at this swing. Now, watch his head position. Starts good. Now look at it right there. You have to draw that line almost backwards. And that tells the whole story between the home run you saw him hit in the previous film and that swing right there. Balance very key to a hitter's success.
Now Mo Vaughn. Will Clark to McDowell. Just like that. 2 men gone here in the 4th inning.
I would venture to say that in spring training especially, you will not see very many hitters get the ball out of the infield off of Roger McDowell or hit fly balls. I mean, if they get a ball through the infield maybe. But he will undoubtedly get a lot of ground balls early in the spring.
Seems like a guy you'd like to have facing the big sluggers,
right.
Too.
McDowell, there was a time when he was in the National League with the Phillies when, I mean, it was almost impossible to hit a sacrifice fly. You'd get a runner at third with less than 2, You just could not get the ball in the air. That's when he was accused of throwing those super sinkers.
Accused?
Yes.
Of doing something illegal?
Yes, of getting some kind of substance on the ball.
1 ball and no strikes to Mark Whitten. Whitten has a single tonight against Tewksbury. Facing McDowell now. Just missing inside. 2-0. Roger McDowell.
Hey, get out, big. Come on out.
Used to be with the New York Mets for many years. Most recently was with the Dodgers. Great guy in the clubhouse. A practical joker. One of the great ones in the game. Helps everybody have fun and relax, which can be difficult in this game.
Well, you need players like that in the clubhouse because over 162 games, 144 this year, it gets a little testy in the clubhouse. You need people and players that can help relax the entire ball club.
There's that sinker. 2-2. Making these big guys look bad up there.
Well, the one thing about his sinker, it starts in one spot and all of a sudden it jumps to another. And usually your sluggers have a problem with those types of pitches because their swings are a little longer and they're usually swinging in a zone.
Full count now, 3-2 to Mark Whitten. 2 down, nobody on in the 4th inning. Texas is leading 3-0. Takes a walk. Well, Whitten did what I guess you need to do against a sinker ball, Joe. Just lay off anything low and make him bring it up. McDowell didn't bring it up, and he got the walk.
One way of hitting against a sinker ball pitcher, John, is you set a zone out in front of the plate. So if the ball does not start above my waist, I'm not going to swing at it. If it doesn't start above my strike, at the top of my strike zone, you have to zone in that way against a sinker ball pitcher.
Mike Greenwell flied out his first time. Just over the head of Gill. Rounding second, heading for third is Whitten. He'll make it there easily on the single by Greenwell. He might have broken his bat in that one.
Might have.
Didn't sound very solid.
No, that one shattered. But that's what McDowell throws a very heavy ball too, and if you don't hit it solidly, you will break a lot of bats. This ball's out toward the end. See it sink down and away, and you see the piece of the bat fly off. Good attempt there, but that's what you have to do with a guy like McDowell. You have to make sure that you get the ball up, and that pitch was up a little bit.
So Greenwell with a single to center, first and third, 2 down. The batter will be Mike McFarland. 3-0 Texas ahead. Boston has 5 hits in this game, but no runs. Yesterday against Minnesota down here, they had 14 hits and scored only 3 runs. They need the long ball. And ball 1. They're starting to look more patient against that low sinker now.
Well, they've watched him pitch to a 2 or 3 hitters, and that's the one thing about Major League hitters. They do adjust. But that's what hitting is all about, adjusting to what the pitcher is doing. That's a breaking ball. See, the one thing that McDowell does so well, he gets you looking for the sinkers, and McFarland thinking this ball is coming inside. It starts outside and then it breaks away. See, that's a breaking ball. That's a slider, and he was looking for a fastball. But you have to look for a fastball off of McDowell. You have to look for the sinker.
Just over the head of McDowell. McLemore bobbles it. In time.
Nice cheating there at first base by Will Clark.
Will Clark will be leading it off at Texas when we get back. We have played 4 innings. Texas is leading 3-0. Boston leaves 2 more men on base. Rangers 3, Red Sox nothing. We go to the top of the 5th inning, and Will Clark will be leading it off here for Texas.
John, let's take a look at Will Clark's swing. Now, this is the first at bat against Nolan Ryan. Now, see how wide his stance is? Now, watch how long a stride he takes. This is really a good power position, but the swing is longer, which generates more power, but it also allows you to be fooled more. He doesn't use that long swing anymore, but that was a home run straightaway center field in the Astrodome against Nolan Ryan in his first at bat in the big leagues.
It's 9 years ago now.
And you take a look at him now. We'll try to get your view from the side. You can see that his stance is not nearly as wide, and he's had a drop in power simply because he's gone more the other way. He's shortened his stride. He's also narrowed his stance, so he doesn't generate as much power, but he has a better stroke now. He doesn't get fooled as easily. He doesn't get fooled with the curveball. See how much narrower his stance is now. Now watch his stride, not long, and he goes the other way a lot more.
And he has a base hit.
Yeah, that's the new Will Clark.
His first hit of the game.
Well, take a look at this. Watch, not a big stride. Remember how long the other one was? See how short the swing is? Much shorter. And like I say, it goes the other way a lot more now. That's the Will Clark of the 90s.
Sean Hare did a 2-run triple in the first inning, grounded as short as last time. It was a triple, the real big blow in that 3-run first inning that has been all of the scoring in this game up till now. 3-0, Texas ahead in the 5th inning. We're in Fort Myers. They have an absolute capacity here at City of Palms Park tonight. In fact, the largest attendance ever in this ballpark. They've had many sellouts here before, but they added 140 seats for this season, and all those extra seats are filled. 7,150.
Well, they knew you were coming.
What, you mean they didn't want to stay home and watch me on TV? Is that it? 2 strikes to count to Hare. Down and in.
One other note I might make about hitters, John. All hitters change through the years. You get different philosophies. You get different ideas about hitting. Canseco has changed a lot since the picture we showed you of him hitting in Oakland. Clark has changed a lot. All hitters change, you know, maybe every couple of years. Even the great Tony Gwynn, his stride is a little, I mean, his stance is a little wider now. I think he uses a smaller bat now. A lot of hitters change over the years. But it's all a matter of adjusting, because you hit one way and pitchers will start to pitch you to your weakness in that stance, and you'll change to adjust to that.
Plus, guys get older.
Right, you get older and everything changes.
Red Sox used to have a guy who changed regularly, Carl Yastrzemski.
Yeah, I mean, I think he just changed because just for the sake of change sometimes. I mean, you'd see some of the stances he'd come up with.
I mean, by the last, what, 3 or 4 years, when he got around 40, he had the oddest looking stance.
Yeah.
Leaning way forward, holding the bat high behind him. But you couldn't get a fastball by him when he was 42.
And it was interesting because I always felt like if he would, when you lean forward like he did, that you would reverse pivot, you know, and you'd lose your balance. But obviously he didn't. He had a way of compensating for that.
Yaz would face a guy like Ron Guidry. Tough left-handers, tough as they were. And Yaz, a left-handed hitter, would still wear him out. Guidry threw hard, and Yaz got up to the very end and hit the best fastball. And part of the reason, I guess, was that he adjusted that stance to allow himself to still be able to do that. Plus, he had some talent.
Yeah, I was going to say, John, you're talking about a Hall of Famer, so a guy who's compared to Ted Williams and some of the great sluggers of all time, so you're not talking about just anybody.
2-2 to Sean Hare. He's in there for Juan Gonzalez. Gonzalez was in the original starting lineup, but then had to be scratched just before game time because of back spasms. So they put Hare in there, then he hit a 2-run triple in the first inning. Boston trailing 3-0 to Texas. Texas batting here in the top of the 5th inning before a sold-out house at City of Palms Park. Had a lot of spring trainings down here in Florida and also out in Arizona this year. This is the second one. Base hit. And Clark will stop at second. Of course, a lot of people missed the first spring training. I think this park and most of them usually maybe a third full or less than that for most of the games with the replacements out there. I'm sure that everybody with the Red Sox happy to see a full house out here tonight. I know they were not predicting a sellout for this game on the holiday. I don't think they thought they were going to have near this many.
No, they did not think they were going to have this many. But then again, John, they didn't know you were coming until late, I guess. But one of the things I want to mention, John, and we've watched almost half a ball game now. The umpires are doing a good job. You know, they get criticized or whatever, and some of them may have had some poor games, but I have to admit that tonight I think they've done a good job, especially the home plate umpire. You haven't seen that many arguments from the players, which kind of tells you that, you know, Jeff Hendricks is the home plate umpire. He's done a pretty good job. Not that he should be there when the season opens, but he's done a good job tonight.
Mickey Tettleton, the hitter, is grounded out, driving in a run. He's been walked intentionally. Switch hitter, batting left-handed. Well, I think the thing with the Major League umpires, Joe, is that you know you're going to get consistency from the Major League umpires. And with the amateur umpires, I mean, they might have a good game today.
Right.
Maybe one tomorrow, but will they have one day after day after day? Or inning after inning, for that matter? I think that's one of the keys, too, is that whatever an umpire is calling as a strike in the first inning today, players want him to call that pitch the same way in the 8th inning, the 9th inning.
Yeah, and also the same pitch tomorrow, the next day, and so forth and so on. You always want to know where the strike zone is.
2 men on, nobody out here. Strike 2, 2-2. Ivan Rodriguez is on deck. Well, one thing is for sure, and negotiation is a negotiation, but the umpires, probably their timing was not real great.
Yeah, good point. Shouldn't have let their contract run out this year, right?
To get into a real hardball negotiation with Major League Baseball. The players at the time out on strike, but as John Hirschbeck told us, he said December 22nd he got a Christmas card from the American League president, Gene Beauty, saying Merry Christmas.
You're locked out.
And then the next day he got a letter saying you're on furlough. That's the way they put it. You're no longer employed.
One of the interesting things is that, you know, the umpires need spring training, too. And I think that's one thing that sometimes people forget. I mean, to ask them to come back opening day and be at their best, I think would be impossible. They need some training down here as well as everyone else, just to get in the flow of, you know, Major League pitching, you know, coming 90 miles, 85 miles an hour and hitting the edges. You have to be conditioned to do that. And the umpires need training as well as the players. Spring training's for everyone.
There's a technique to it. There's getting your timing back.
Right.
3-2 to Tettleton. 2 down, nobody on. A guy who may have some opinions about the umpires and some information that we'd like to get is Roger Clemens, the great ace right-hander, the Boston Red Sox. Roger is standing by downstairs. Roger, welcome to the telecast.
Okay, guys, thanks.
How you doing?
3-2 pitch to Tettleton coming up here from Pierce. Second base. There's one. Valentin drops the ball, and everybody's safe. All right.
Well, we'll take a look and see if he ever had control of it. Normally, if you have control of it and you're taking it out of your glove, of course, they will call the runner out at second base. Alicea gives him the toss. I'm not so sure that that shouldn't have been called an out, because he does stop the momentum of the ball, and it looked like he did have slight control of it.
Here's Ivan Rodriguez. Well, Roger, standing by downstairs. Do you have a monitor there?
Right.
What do you think?
I think he's out.
I agree with you, Raj.
I think he had possession of it making a turn, so he should have been out.
Thanks, Raj.
Sure.
Joe appreciates it. Well, Roger. Now, what's the story with your shoulder, and what can we expect now?
I'm very disappointed I wasn't out there tonight. I guess I'm going to take a couple steps backwards before I can go forward again, and we'll see what happens. I'm going to throw Tuesday, and we're going to really go from there.
Little fly ball, shallow right. There's Witten. They'll not challenge him. Cut off by Vaughn.
They won't challenge that arm too often. That's the good news.
Now, Roger, we were told a story tonight. I think Johnny Pesky was telling us that in the first game you played Thursday against Minnesota, Chuck Knobloch was at second. It was a single that went into kind of shallow right, but not real shallow right. And Knobloch, who runs pretty well, immediately got held up by the coach there. No way they wanted to challenge Witten.
That's correct. We, you know, Dan Touquette's really strengthened this team well, and like I said, if maybe 1 or 2 horses away from really making a nice push at this thing, and for someone that's been around 10, 11 years, it's a welcome sight. So it's a little intimidating. Just like last year, we added a little speed, so the guys had to think about that around the league, and now we're adding a little power. So we'll just see what happens. It's getting interesting around the camp right now.
Kind of reminds you of the old Red Sox teams where they had a lot of power and, you know, not as much defense and maybe not as much speed, but you're trying to take care of the speed and defense.
That's right, Joe. When I got here back in '84, pitching was a second-class citizen.
Right.
And so, yeah, it's getting real interesting and exciting, like I said. But we've got a short amount of time, and including myself, I might have come out too quick throwing the ball in the upper 90s. And like I said, I might just have to back off just a little bit. I'm trying to really get it going, and like I said, I might have overextended myself just a little bit. So I'm going to back down just a little and see what happens.
By the way, the Red Sox have made a pitching change, and Brian Looney, a left-hander, is coming out to pitch now to face the left-hander Greer with the bases loaded and 1 out. We're visiting with Roger Clemens. And Roger, I think there are a lot of managers and pitching coaches concerned with the shortened spring about the thing you're talking about top pitchers coming out and maybe trying to do a little too much too soon, not having the normal amount of time.
Well, I think so, and you're going to have to look at a lot of guys in a short period of time, and I just hate to be in the situation I'm in right now, putting pressure on a new, obviously, pitching coach and you know, managing staff, Kevin Kennedy being here. We're learning their system right now also as players, and we have a lot of new players in camp. It's really become a tough time because, again, we're learning a new system, and we're trying to get everything going in a short period of time and get out there. And you know, like I said, you don't want to spend your bullpen, but as a starter like myself, I'd like to be able to go out a good solid 5 or 6 innings when we open this thing up in 10, 11 days.
Are you still hoping to make the opening day start?
I hope so. My legs are strong. I feel strong and everything like that. I just think, again, I overextended myself a few days back. I was letting the ball go, you know, through some batting practice about 85 miles an hour, and then I pulled the screen away and I let a few go probably in the mid-90s. And I might have overextended myself too much at that point, but I felt good, and I'm going to go with it. Hopefully, I'm at the point where I'm just testing my shoulder at this point, and you know, there's just some strength in there that needs to be taken care of, and I'm still looking forward to it, though.
This is Rusty Greer now with the bases loaded and 1 out. Greer is 0 for 2. But Roger, could it be more advisable for you for the long haul just to say, no way, I'll make that opening day start. I've got to go a little slower here and get at least a couple of outings in before I pitch in the regular season? Well,
no question. I think I'll be very cautious in my situation as far as worrying about opening day or whatever that might be. I'm not too concerned about absolutely making that start, but throwing to hitters isn't my concern. My breaking stuff needs a little work, but other than throwing to hitter, I've not lost touch of where I need to throw the ball across the plate. I've been doing it for so long that it's not a concern to me. Sometimes my worst asset's throwing too many strikes. So I'm around the dish too much, so a little wildness wouldn't hurt me every now and then.
Hitters would disagree with that.
3-0 to Greer, and he takes his strike, 3-1.
When I talked to Will Clark, he voiced the same sentiments that you had. He said players have been off so long they were just anxious to get back. He's saying he sees a lot of guys going too fast, too quickly.
Well, I've thrown approximately about 15 times.
That is off the glove of Alicea. Coming in to score, and they're going to get the force out at second. Witten is able to force out Mickey Templeton at second base. Clark scoring, Hare going to third, and Greer is safe at first, but without getting credit for a base hit. He hits into the old 9-6 force play.
Well, it's a good attempt at second base there. As you see a leap there by Alicea, he can't come down with it. Right off the tip of his glove. But you see Witten comes in and he fires to second base to Valentin to get the force out there on Mickey Templeton.
Gotta love that as a pitcher.
Yes.
So it's 4-0 now for Texas. 2 down in the inning. Runners at first and third. And here is Mike Pagliarulo, the veteran, and he is 1 for 2. Now, Roger, I read a story where when everybody was assembled here in camp finally, the strike was over, you guys all came to camp here in Fort Myers, that you had a team meeting talking to some of the players about the idea of what could be done, what should be done to reach out to the fans and get them back interested and loving the game again.
Well, we talked about that all along. I think that obviously there were some feelings that needed to be expressed, and that's what we did. We talked about a number of things, including the replacement players and the situation that was going on down here with management. And again, there were some players that just needed to hear what happened, what went on, and get the air cleared so we could get out on the field and get back to playing baseball.
What were some of the ideas about ways to reach out to the...
I think that most of the guys that were didn't go out and overextend themselves too much towards the public. I mean, a lot of them were focused on what they're doing here on the field, that they needed to go out and make themselves a little more visible to the fans, and not do it just for that, do it for the reason behind doing it. Again, you deal with collectors. It's such a big situation away from the field now, autographs and autograph seeking of it and the whole 9 yards. So you try and do the best you can. I mean, you can go out there and sign for an hour, and when you leave, the person you didn't get to is going to be upset with it, but you just try and be yourself and get in touch with the public.
I think that's a good point, Roger. You can only sign so many autographs a day. And the other point that a lot of fans are not aware of, that there are a lot of people out there who get your autograph and go and sell it. And they trade those autographs and sell them, and those are the people you do not like to deal with.
Right. And overall, Joe, I think it's kind of overrated. It's just an autograph, but when it's to a fan or a kid of a certain age and you see it, they're excited about it, and you know, that's what makes you feel great as a player. I mean, that the kid looks up to you, I guess, and he really enjoys playing the game, and you're one of his favorite players. That's the excitement as a player that you get used to seeing, and really I think a lot of guys miss that, and so that's why we enjoy what the fans give to us. We try and give back, and it works both ways.
You think the fans will come back, Roger?
Oh, most definitely. I think a lot of people will come back, and our fans in New England will be back. We got a pretty exciting team, having Jose and a number of these other players over here that can do great things. You know, they can see me once every 4 or 5 days. They'll get a chance to see Jose and the rest of these guys day in and day out. And the bottom line is, I think the fans will win in this situation. It's going to be exciting for the people in New England and everyone who follow the Red Sox.
How do you see it in the American League East this year? Who's the team to beat?
Well, there's a couple teams out there I think they're strengthening themselves just enough, but there's still good players out there to be had, and like I said, if we get 1 or 2 more horses maybe on the hill, it'll be all right. We don't need that.
On ball 4, the ball getting past Mike McFarland, and coming in to score is Sean Hare. Moving to second is Greer, and Pagliarulo takes first on the walk, but a run scores on that wild pitch, and it is 5-0 for the Rangers, still with 2 down. And Benji Gill is coming up.
It's a breaking ball in the dirt off the leg of McFarland and bounces back to the backstop, and it's called a wild pitch, of course.
But now, Roger, guys generally like to see the catcher knock those kind down, don't they? With a runner at third base.
Well, that's another situation. I mean, we've got new teammates, like I said, and a lot of guys. He's seeing a lot of new arms, and you're just compounding a big situation here. You're getting a lot of players, a lot of different pitchers, a lot of position players that we haven't seen that's come from different leagues and whatnot, in a situation where, you know, you're going to need to work with one another. And it's definitely no difference in this situation. We're happy to have Mac over here. I think his swing's very conducive to Fenway Park. You might forget about him down the lineup with Greenwell hitting 6, and he's sneaking in there too when you got all of our big bats now kind of in the middle.
Benji Gill, the hitter, with 2 down and 2 on, a 5-0 Ranger lead here in the 5th inning. Roger Clemens is visiting with us. Roger, the Yankees get John Wetland, and of course in the offseason they were able to make a trade for Jack McDowell. Do you think the Yankees are got to be favored to win the division right now?
Well, they're right there, especially what they proved they could do last year. They're a very tough, solid ball club all the way around, and you know, we'll definitely have to chase them.
And then the Blue Jays get David Cohn. All of a sudden, they're looking pretty tough again.
Well, you're looking at 2, 3, 4 top teams probably in baseball in the American League East. So it's a great, you know, I've always enjoyed playing the type of baseball and the brand of baseball is played up in the Northeast. It's very competitive and a lot of rivals, so it'll be interesting.
Baltimore gets Kevin Brown, and he used to be with Texas.
Yeah, on and on. A lot of people changing places and new faces, and it adds a new twist to things. But it'll be tough.
Who was the toughest team for you to pitch against? Real quickly now, because the inning has just ended.
They're all tough. They all get the rest, and I know I'm going to have a big challenge every time I toe the rubber, so it's always a challenge.
All right. Well, Roger, it's Tuesday. You're going to test the arm then.
We'll go at it Tuesday, see what happens.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks to Roger Clemens for coming by. 5-0 Rangers. We'll be back. Sunday night baseball from Fort Myers, Florida. The Texas Rangers leading Boston 5-0. The grounds crew here at City of Palms Park, the head groundskeeper is Dwight Popovic. He underwent surgery this weekend. The rest of the grounds crew has asked us to send along their best wishes for a speedy recovery. A video get well card, courtesy of Sunday Night Baseball.
That works.
Dwight, they love you. Get well and get back out here. Hope everything's going well for you. There's a new pitcher on for the Texas Rangers and a new catcher. As Tim Naring comes up, he got an infield hit his first time. Number 32 there is Rick Helling, H-E-L-L-I-N-G. We were hoping he might have been ready to go into the rotation last year, but that earned run average, I guess, explains why he wasn't. But most of the year in the minor leagues. Base hit for Naring. The new catcher is Dean Borelli, replacing Ivan Rodriguez. There's Dean. Rodriguez went 1 for 3 while he was in there. Well, Boston now has 6 hits, and here's Lee Tinsley. He was called out on strikes his first time. Thanks to Roger Clemens for coming on with us. Roger is from the Houston area.
Yeah, I was going to. One of my questions I wanted to ask him was about our buddy and his good friend Ben Crenshaw winning the golf tournament. We wanted to talk about that. He's from Texas, and we're all from around that area.
Yeah, it was some big tournament, wasn't it?
Yeah, some big tournament.
There's a pop-up foul and out of play off to the left. 1 ball, 1 strike to Tinsley.
In fact, our Ace Award-winning director, Mark Payton, is from Houston, and he went to school with Ben Crenshaw at the University of Texas.
Wow. One ball, 1 strike to Tinsley. I guess Mark didn't play much golf with him, though, when they were kids.
Oh, you're saying he didn't learn much? I'm watching Helling here, John, and he almost tips all of his pitches. I can see why he was having trouble. You can see he was going to throw his changeup on the last pitch. He just slows his arm speed down.
Foul away. 2-2.
Hey, pick him out now.
I mean, the idea is to throw the changeup, and then what fools him is it looks like you're still throwing the fastball.
Yeah, you have to have the same arm speed to fool the hitter.
Two and two the count. Wow. Missed very badly. 3-2. Helling, the third Rangers pitcher of the game. Roger McDowell just pitched 1 shutout inning. Bob Tewksbury had pitched 3 innings without allowing a run. And Texas is ahead 5-0 here over the Red Sox. Leadoff man Luis Alicea is on deck. Along the left field line. Hare can't get it. It's a fair ball. Breaking for third is Naring. And he'll make it as the throw gets past Pagliarulo and backed up by Borelli. Into second base on the play goes Tinsley.
Good hustle down the left field line, but he's not able to come up with the ball. He hustles. Now he doesn't realize that he has a shot at the run at third until he comes up with it. And the throw off line. The runner between first and second. Now he decides he can make it to third. Good hustle. See that ball bounce up and get Palarulo off the left forearm.
Here's Alicea. Runners at second and third. Nobody out. A strike. 0-1. Well, Roger Clemens certainly a leader on this Red Sox ball club. I mean, he's a leader because, number one, he's got great accomplishments. He commands respect. And he's got that great competitiveness as a guy who leads by example as well. I mean, his work ethic is legendary. Over at third base is Naring. At second base is Tinsley with nobody out. Here in the fifth, Alicea has doubled and singled.
The thing I've been most impressed with is all the players we talked to, Matt Williams, Andy Bennis, and of course Roger Clemens. They've all expressed concern about trying to be closer to the fans.
Right center field. It's going to be in there, heading for the wall. Naring scores. Tinsley scores. Alicea heading for third. And he will go in there, standing with a triple.
As I said at the beginning, I've always thought that Alicea was going to be a better player than he has been in the major league so far. Watch this little short, compact swing, lines it in the right center field. Nice swing there. Look at that. That's a beautiful compact swing over the head of the right fielder, and by the time they get it back in, he's at third with a triple, and 2 runs have scored for the Red Sox.
Well, Alicea has 3 quarters of the cycle. He has a single, a double, and now a triple. Here's Valentin. The infield stays back, and a big curveball is in there for a strike. 1-1. Valentin has popped to first and lined hard to third. 5-2, Texas ahead in the last of the 5th inning.
Percentages say a triple is the hardest to get in that cycle.
Well, Alicea, who hit 5 home runs, might feel like hit 5 home runs last year, might feel like a home run could be the toughest. 1992, he hit 11 triples that year with only 2 homers. There's Canseco on deck. Problem in spring training, Alicea might not even get another at bat to try for the cycle. 1 ball, 1 strike. 2-1. 3 straight hits here. In fact, Helling has allowed 3/4 of a cycle to 3 hitters. A single to Naring, a double to Tinsley, and a triple to Alicea. Change speeds there, and Valentin off balance. 2-2 the count. Chase that was down around his ankles.
That's actually the first good breaking ball that he's thrown.
2-2. Nobody out. Iurulo, nice knockdown in time. And that ball was smashed at Pagliarulo. It's a very fast infield. He got that little tough in-between hop, but he was able to handle it.
Good play there by Pagliarulo. You see Alicea holds his ground. Pagliarulo just tries to knock it down, which he does, gets up and fires to first in time to retire Valentin.
1 down. Now Canseco has flied to center and struck out. So last year with Texas, 323 in these kind of at-bats was his batting average. The curveball. Ball 1.
Canseco has an interesting stance. I mean, his back foot is almost behind the plate. I mean, he really stands close to the plate. You can see his back foot is very close to the home plate line.
Changed up a little bit there, too. 78 miles an hour.
Take a look at Canseco. He thought this was a fastball, and he goes after it. You see he's a little bit out in front. His back foot, see where he's digging in? Very close to the line that would be drawn straight back off of home plate.
Fastball. Strike 2. 1 1 ball and 2 strikes. 87 miles an hour with that one.
Well, when you throw a hitter a changeup, 90% of the time you come back with a fastball because the change of speed will usually fool him a lot, or at least make him a little late on the fastball.
There's a low drive deep to left and caught. Sean Hare with a leaping catch to bring it back into the ballpark. A sacrifice fly is all for Canseco.
Yeah, sacrifice fly.
At Fenway, a little bit onto the net.
Yes, I thought he got that toward the end of the bat, but I thought he got enough of it. Take a look here. It is out over the plate, and Canseco thinks he got it. Definitely. Now watch, take a look at Canseco. He thinks he gets it. But no, he looks at the end of the bat. He says no, he shakes his head.
Here's Mo Vaughn, 0-1. Vaughn has grounded out twice. Out of play. Vaughn had one of the great performances we've seen by a hitter on Sunday Night Baseball. I think it was a couple of years back. The Yankees were at Fenway, and Jimmy Key, one of the top lefties in the game, was on the mound for the Yankees, and Mo hit 2 home runs against Key in the same game. He hits the lefties very well. High in the air to center. Fox, and that's the inning. Well, Boston gets a single, a double, a triple, and almost a home run. And 3 runs on the board, 5-3, Texas. Rangers 5, Red Sox 3 on Sunday Night Baseball. We head to the 6th inning. Tomorrow, join ESPN at 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific for continuing coverage of the America's Cup. In the best of 9 Challenger Series, New Zealand's Black Magic will pit its 3-1 lead on the line against number 1 Australia, while Dennis Connor's Stars and Stripes tries to take over first place as they take on Mighty Mary. That's tomorrow at 4 Eastern on ESPN. They're telling me it's not number 1 Australia, it's just 1 Australia. All right. Here's the first pitch from the new pitcher, Alejandro Pena, to Eric Fox. And Luis Alicea makes the catch. And there is 1 away. Again, Eric Fox hitting leadoff today, as Otis Nixon has been left back to get the work in at camp today. The new Ranger center fielder was picked up in a trade by new general manager Doug Melvin, who has stopped by to join us here. Doug, welcome to the broadcast.
Thanks, John. Joe?
Yeah.
Now, we were just commenting. I mean, it took some guts to make the Canseco trade the way you did, because it was a pretty creative trade. And I know you were saying, don't judge the trade the way it is now. Wait until everything has been done.
Yeah, it wasn't a real popular trade at the time, John, but...
I can't imagine that.
But Otis Nixon is going to improve our defense.
McLemore into right field. Caught by Witten, just like that, out number 2.
And he also brings to our ball club a leadoff hitter, which the Rangers haven't had in a long period of time. And, you know, we had to give up a quality hitter in Jose Canseco, who's going to, you know, got an opportunity to hit about 40 home runs up in Fenway. But we like Otis Nixon also as well.
But now, wasn't part of the deal also, because of Canseco's big contract, you freed up some money that you could use and did use to go get some pitching and some other things?
Well, that's what we did. We freed up some money, and then we...
Will Clark, first ball swinging, and he'll reach. Go ahead, Doug.
With freeing up the money, we were able to get Kevin Gross, and also we picked up a prospect, Luis Ortiz. But you know, part of it was adding to our pitching, having the availability to pick up again. Now we got Bob Tewksbury, Roger McDowell, Jeff Russell. So we had to be creative, but we did take a chance in making that deal back under one of the rules of the implemented system.
Well,
right.
What does that mean, though? Does that mean you wouldn't make that deal under today's system?
Well, the system's changed 2 or 3 times during the off season and that, but it's worked out for us right now. And Otis Nixon stayed back today to work on his bunting.
I have a question, Doug. You know, I'm from the Bay Area, and you traded for John Burkett, who never became a Ranger. What was the story there?
Well, with John Burkett, we traded for John at the time when we didn't think there would be arbitration. And then when arbitration was part of the rules, we have two players, Dean Palmer, Ivan Rodriguez, we have to go to arbitration with, and we just couldn't take the chance on losing those arbitration cases and using all the money in those cases and still keeping John Burkett. We thought John Burkett could step in and be our #1 pitcher, and we just weren't able to do it. And also Kenny Rogers was an arbitration-eligible pitcher, and we did get Kenny signed, and he remains here as our #1 pitcher.
So the idea was, when you traded for Burkett, a different system was in place we were talking about earlier.
Exactly.
And so you're saying you wouldn't have made that trade if the old system had still been in effect at that time.
Right.
All right. The inning is over. Sean Hare has been retired. Doug Melvin, all the best this year.
Okay, thanks very much.
Doug Melvin, the general manager of the Rangers. 5-3. 5-3. The Rangers lead Boston. We go to the last of the 6th inning with the Red Sox Mark Whitten coming up against right-hander Rick Helling. Thanks again to Doug Melvin, the general manager of the Texas Rangers. Seemed like we had about a 6-pitch inning there with Doug in here.
No joke. I said he should demand equal time.
Whitten has a single and a walk in this one. A couple of changes for the Rangers defensively. I'll point out to you here in a moment. A changeup in there for a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike. Rick Shue, who had come on as a pinch runner for Will Clark after his single. Shue stays in to play first base. And Jeff Fry has gone in to play second base in place of Mark McLemore. And that's in there for a called strike. A ball and 2 strikes to Whitten. He'll be followed by Greenwell and then McFarland. Curveball. That's fouled. Doug Melvin, very well respected around baseball. He was the assistant general manager in Baltimore, and his name always came up anytime any team was in the market for a general manager. Doug had been running the farm system in Baltimore for a number of years, and while he was there, a number of top talents had come along out of the Orioles farm system, and now he's got that job that he'd been preparing himself for all these many years. Doug at one time played in the minor leagues, and his teammates then used to say, one day he's going to be a GM. He knows who everybody has. And, you know, he was just a young guy playing minor league ball. Struck him out. The off-speed pitch. So Helling gets the strikeout, and that's his first. Whitten retired.
Well, he looks like he has a good breaking ball when he throws it. And this is a breaking ball down and in. Good slider or hard curve. It'll look at Whitten's concentration. And he was fooled by the pitch.
Mike Greenwell, curveball misses. Interestingly enough, Melvin got the job with Texas as the GM, and he fired Kevin Kennedy. And then Kevin Kennedy, a couple of days later, was signed by Dan Duquette to go to Boston. Before Doug Melvin had left the Orioles, high in the air to right field, Greer, out number 2. The Orioles had fired Johnny Oates, and they were looking for a new manager. One of the guys that he had recommended to the Orioles, Phil Regan. Well, now he gets over to Texas, and he's recommending to himself that maybe he talked to Phil Regan. Well, it almost really came down to a race between the Orioles and the Rangers, and the Orioles brought Regan in from South America, where he'd been managing in the winter leagues, and made him an offer, and Regan decided to take it, although he had another plane ticket. He was supposed to go right from Baltimore to Texas, where Doug Melvin was going to pick him up at the airport. And he waited and waited and waited in that airport, and Regan never showed up.
Must be nice to be wanted.
He signed a deal in Baltimore, the man that Melvin had recommended to them before he left for Texas.
Colorado's going to get killed over there for a day.
And then some shots at him.
Yeah.
That'll be an infield hit for McFarland, his first hit. And Boston's 9th hit all told.
Well, you talked about how fast this infield is. This is a bullet hit down to third. He hits in front of him, and all he can do is try to react. He tried to keep his body in front of it, but bounces off of his arm, and no play at first base.
Pagliarulo was always sort of the classic third baseman. The guy with bruises all over his body and sprawling in the dirt, his uniform always dirty. Ball one to Naring, who is 2 for 2. Mike Pagliarulo. It's not pretty over there, but he's always been a pretty good third baseman. Except in Japan last year, where they moved him over to second base. A lot of pretty good major leaguers, some in their primes, went over to Japan. Guys like Shane Mack and Kevin Mitchell. Valentin I'm on the wrong team here. Benji Gill over to Fry, retiring McFarland at second, and that's the inning. 5-3. Mickey Tettleton will be coming up when we go to the 7th. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball from Fort Myers, Florida. The Rangers 5, the Red Sox 3. And coming up Wednesday, more baseball action from Florida. Davey Johnson's Cincinnati Reds will meet the Philadelphia Phillies from Clearwater, Florida, 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. And the next Sunday night, it will be the Oakland Athletics and the San Francisco Giants from Scottsdale, Arizona, 7:56 p.m. And then Joe and I will be back here in Florida Tuesday night, April 25th, opening night. One game to get it all started, and we'll have it for you exclusively. Mike Piazza and the Dodgers, Gary Sheffield and the Marlins, opening night. See, the opening night starters, Joe. The Dodgers could go with Ramon Martinez, Tom Candiotti. Marlins can't go with Charlie Huff anymore.
No.
They picked up a couple of new pitchers, though. John Burkett, the man we were just talking about with Doug Melvin.
Right.
And Bobby Witt, the former Giant and the former Athletic. Burkett with the Giants and Witt with the Athletics. Mickey Tettleton against the new Boston pitcher. This is Stan Belinda. Belinda, one time, was as close as Jim Leland came at that time to having a regular everyday closer. Last year ended up being traded to Kansas City. Looking at his numbers, while with the Royals, 1-1.
Well, when he was with Pittsburgh, Leland was still using that bullpen by committee, but as you mentioned, he got most of the action out of in the stopper's role.
Particularly effective against right-handed batters. The other changes for Texas: Greg Blosser in left field replacing Greenwell, Wes Chamberlain in right field replacing Mark Whitten, and the new catcher Bill Hasselman replacing McFarland. Next ball misses. 3-2 the count to Tettleton, who is grounded out, driving in a run. He's been walked intentionally, and he has hit into a fielder's choice on which an error was committed by Valentin, which helped the Rangers get 2 unearned runs in the 5th inning. There's ball 4 to Mickey. Now, Mickey always gets a lot of walks. I mean, year in, year out, he walks over 100 times.
Well, he knows the strike zone very well. And he tries to get you into those 2-0 situations anyway. That's like most sluggers. Actually, there are only a couple of guys left that were my teammates in my final year. Mickey Tettleton, Ricky Henderson. We were all teammates there in Oakland.
Tettleton departs. A pinch runner has gone in. Luis Ortiz, who went to the Rangers in the Canseco trade with Otis Nixon. So Tettleton has retired for the night. Tettleton, you know, it seemed like Tiger Stadium was just the right ballpark for Mickey Tettleton. Pretty good ballpark for a lot of guys.
Right. And especially, well, Texas in right field when he's hitting left-handed will be pretty good for him as well.
Ortiz at first, nobody out in the 7th inning. The batter is Dean Borelli. 279 in AAA ball at Tacoma last year. High in the air to center. This is Tinsley. 1 away. We're talking about Mickey Tettleton and how conducive Tiger Stadium was to his style. Well, here's one of his shots as a left-handed batter. Look out up there on the roof.
course, something like that would have gone out of any stadium.
And you hit one off the roof.
Yeah,
that's a home run anywhere.
Place.
There's another guy who hit a few there.
The Cecil, the fielder, man.
Yeah, Mickey heading down the right field line. He's going to go out and get some running in now. One of the things you see in exhibition games, right in the middle of innings, you'll see guys out on the warning track running laps.
Well, they can get their running in and also watch the ball game.
Yeah. Rusty Greer, the hitter. There's Mickey. Mickey looks like he's in great shape, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. But, you know, the one thing I've noticed, most of the players look like they're in pretty good shape. When I went to the Red Sox clubhouse, it seemed like everyone in there was 6'2", 230 or so. They all look like they're in good shape.
So, in other words, you didn't see any 6'2", 290s.
No, I didn't see any of those. But the thing about baseball, though, is baseball is a game of timing, and you have to get your timing down. You can be in shape physically from running and jogging and doing a lot of different activities, but you still need your timing to be a good baseball player.
Down the left field line, Blosser, and it's a foul ball to Rusty Greer. 2 balls, 1 strike. 1 out, 1 on, 7th inning. Texas ahead 5-3. The Rangers, the team on the day of the strike last August that was leading the American League West, even though they were 10 games under 500. And Joe, they've got to do something about this. If they're going to play 3 divisions, they've got to change the schedule so that teams, you know, the schedule is more heavily weighted to play within your division. Because as long as they do this, they're liable to have the same thing could have happened even last year if they played longer in the National League West. But the Dodgers were on top of that division. What were they, 3 or 4 over 500?
Well, I agree with you. It needs to be weighted more, the schedule needs to be weighted more towards divisional play.
Both leagues are playing basically a balanced schedule right now. Last year in the West, look at that. Oakland was 12 under 500, and many people thought they were going to overtake Texas. Yeah. Certainly they could have. And look at Seattle. 14 games under 500, but they'd won, what, 7 or 8 in a row before the strike. They were right there. The Giants in the National League West were 5 under 500, and yet they felt they were still a good shot to overtake the Dodgers because the Dodgers record was not very good. The Dodgers record was worse last year at the strike than it had been the year before when they were way out of contention. They've just got to make the schedule so that's not likely to happen. Tinsley. He cannot hold it. Almost. Let's see if they get him at third. Easily. That's Ortiz out at third. Ortiz had stopped at second and started to go back to first, thinking Tinsley had caught it. And then, not a very good idea, deciding to break to third.
Well, one of the things you learn on a hit and run, if you're running, you have to keep going. You can see the ball is not caught there. He thought he had it. Throw comes in. Now, he's out easily at third base. Ortiz, I mean, once you're going on a hit and run, you just keep going. Here's a better look. Nice play there.
Luis Alicea with the throw.
And you could see how who is it third base now? Naring at third. You could see how he stepped to the inside to receive the throw, so he wouldn't hit the runner.
One thing, say for Ortiz, I like that slide, trying to avoid the tag. Here's Pagliarulo. 1 for 2 with a walk. 5-3, Texas ahead. Single for Greer on that play. And then Ortiz thrown out at third from 9 to 4 to 5. The right fielder, Chamberlain, had backed up Tinsley in that play. And he hit the relay man, Alicea, with the throw.
You're right. I need spring training, too. I had 8-6-5.
Oh, no.
No, you're
9-4-5.
9-4-5.
This is Stan Belinda. He's the sixth pitcher of the game for Boston already. Seen a new pitcher in every inning since the third inning of this game.
Well, one of the things that Major League Baseball is doing because of the shortened spring training, they're going to start with 28 players instead of the 25. And I would venture to guess that most of the teams will fill those 3 roster spots with pitchers.
Runner goes. Ball 4. Paiurillo draws a walk on the 3-1 pitch. The run and hit was on. Paiurillo only obligated to swing, and had that pitch been a strike. Kevin Kennedy likes to run, but I don't know, Joe, when you're managing at Fenway Park, it can be pretty risky.
But the thing that's hurt the Red Sox in the past is that they've overpowered people in Fenway Park, and they've gone on the road and played poorly. So he's probably going to play a different type of game in Fenway Park than he plays on the road. At home, he's going to use the old Earl Weaver theory, pitching in 3-run homers. On the road, he's going to try to manufacture some runs with some speed.
Here's Benji Gill, the Texas shortstop. Texas, Kennedy's old team. He's managed him the last couple of years. One thing I thought, Joe, that didn't work out, and of course we didn't get the full season last year to see how it all would have turned out, but what wasn't working out in the 3-division format, and the idea was there would be more teams in contention because there were 3 divisions. But in a weak division where teams were not playing well, sure, a team was in contention, but the fans were not that excited about it in those cities. Because it's one thing to be in contention, it's another thing to actually play as if you're in contention. And those teams in the American League West, none of them played well enough to be in contention, and the fans were not pleased with what they were watching. Oakland's attendance was down, and Seattle's was down too. Texas was up because they're in their new ballpark. So if the idea was to raise attendance with more races, I think by that reckoning, it didn't exactly pay off. 1-2 the count. 2 on, 2 out, and he struck him out. Benji Gill down on strikes for the 3rd time tonight. 1 a hit, 2 left. 1 thrown out on the base pass. Texas leading Boston 5-3. That's the scene here at City of Palms Park in Fort Myers, Florida, the springtime home of the Boston Red Sox. Happy Easter. Yes. This is John Miller along with Joe Morgan. We're heading to the last of the 7th inning before the largest crowd that has ever attended a game in this rather new ballpark. This is the 3rd year of its existence. And the hometown team, the Red Sox, is trailing 5-3. Lee Tinsley, the 9th place hitter in the order, leads it off against Rick Helling. Tinsley takes a strike. Tinsley has struck out, and he's blooped a double along the left field line. There are a few changes for the Rangers, and we'll pass them along to you here shortly.
My scorebook is done.
You've finished tallying all the changes you're going to tally, I guess. That's in there for a strike. It's 0-2. Well, it's not like you need to review the score sheet probably as you fly out of here tomorrow. Alicea due up next. Big curve, foul tipped. Here are the changes for the Rangers. Esteban Beltre now at short, replacing Benji Gill. Bruce Dostal in center field now, and moving from center field over to right field, Eric Fox replacing Rusty Greer. Fastball up and in. 1-2 the count. Rangers still have Shue at first, Fry at second, Beltre now at short, Paiurillo at third, Hare in left, Dostal now in center, Fox moved over to right. Borelli is the catcher. Going back in left field is Hare. Makes the catch at the wall.
Nice play.
Man, Tinsley's not a powerful guy. That would have been one of those balls that would have scraped off the big wall in Fenway Park.
Pitches away a little bit. He goes the other way, and the ball is curving away, and Hare chases it down. Nice play by Hare. That's Herm Starrett in your background there. Used to be pitching coach for the Atlanta Braves.
The bullpen coach for the Red Sox. Used to be a pitching coach for the Giants.
Right.
For Baltimore. Alicea's got his 4th consecutive hit. He needed the home run, though, for the cycle, already having hit a single, a double, and a triple, but gets merely another single, Joe.
Well, maybe it's the year he lives up to that potential I saw in him at Florida State. He's got 4 base hits tonight. This pitch is up, and he just lines it to left field. Nice swing there. Good level swing. Beltre gives it the old lay shot there.
Yeah, the Cardinals always had Alicea and Geronimo Pena.
Right, which didn't help either one of them.
So they've decided to go with Pena. And the Red Sox will go with Alicea. Here's John Valentin. Popped out, lined to third, and grounded to third. 0 for 3. Last of the 7th. Texas is leading 5-3. We had Roger Clemens on it with us earlier. We were talking about Roger and the fact that he's a leader in this Boston ball club. And he's a leader because he's had great success. He has that kind of charisma. He's a great performer, but also because he has such a great work ethic. I mean, he's a leader by example. If one of the great stars in the ball club works that hard, if you're a new guy on the team or you're a rookie, I mean, how could you not work hard? And thinking of that, talking about leaders, Joe, interesting story out of the Yankees camp. John Wetland, the newly acquired reliever, went in on his first day. He said, I wanted to get there early to be the first one, you know, to kind of impress everybody. Said he got there at 7:30. And when he walked in, Don Mattingly was in uniform and in the batting cage taking some swings already. Mattingly leading by example for the Yankees. And truly, I mean, Mattingly's value to that club, while tangible on the field, I mean, he's just a great first baseman. Still a 300 hitter. But there's that intangible, that leadership, the kind of dedication, the presence that he has in that Yankee clubhouse. In Baltimore, Cal Ripken. I mean, Cal's not a guy who hollers in the clubhouse or calls clubhouse meetings or things like that. But he's the big star in the ball club. Plays every day, as we all know.
He does?
Still doing it, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, I know you lost track a couple years back.
Right. I thought he must have missed a game someplace along the line.
Every day, Joe.
Oh, okay.
But, I mean, Cal generally not only plays every game, he never misses batting practice, never misses infield practice before a game. Goes through all the drills over and over again in spring training. And, you know, that's his example for the young guys to follow. I think you've said something about that many times, Joe. You wrote about it in your book about the older guys in baseball needing to give back to the game,
right,
to pass things on to the younger players, teach them about how it's done, how you carry yourself, the work ethic, things like that.
I think teaching them how to carry themselves off the field as well as on is the important part.
Pop fly, shallow left center. Beltre, and Valentin is out number 2, and that'll bring up Jose Canseco. Speaking of that, Joe, I mean, Canseco's had in years past kind of a notorious attitude, but people around him have seen a definite change in Jose these last couple of years.
Well, I think you have to remember, you know, he became a star very quickly at a young age, and sometimes it takes, you know, people a little while to mature. And I think I saw it happening there before he was traded from Oakland. You could see the change in Canseco. You could see it coming. And now I think he's, you know, he's an adult now.
Fastball misses. Canseco's flied out, struck out, and was nearly toting up his second home run of the spring when Sean Hare, the left fielder, brought it back into the ballpark. Settled for a sacrifice fly. 0 for 2 officially. 5-3 Texas, last of the 7. 2 down. Beltre to Fry at second for the force on Alicea. That's the inning. Boston down by 2 as we head for the 8th inning. 5-3 Texas. Inning number 8 coming up from Fort Myers. Rangers 5, Red Sox 3, ESPN Sunday Night Baseball. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan. Coming up Tuesday night at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific, NHL action as the New York Rangers visit the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Stanley Cup champion Rangers need wins desperately. Their win today gives them 39 points, tying them for 7th place, just 1 point ahead of 9th place Buffalo in the Eastern Conference. That's the Rangers and Penguins Tuesday at 7:30 Eastern right here on ESPN. And we've just received word, it's just in from SportsCenter, that Buffalo won tonight. So, in fact, even as we speak, Buffalo is now 1 point ahead of the Rangers, vying for that final playoff spot. We'll have the real info on that game and all of the highlights in the day in sports on SportsCenter right after the game. That's the new Boston pitcher, Ken Ryan. Going to be the closer of the Red Sox this year. Young, hard thrower. And there are other changes behind him. We'll have Joe take you through all the changes.
Yes, please. I was going
as soon as he gets them listed in his scorebook.
With the Rangers' plight this year kind of shows you how tough it is to repeat in any professional sport, doesn't it? There's always some problems.
There's always something.
Yes.
They did a great job at the ESPY Awards on ESPN. Radio City.
Yeah, I saw those.
They all came marching in and with the Stanley Cup. I thought it was a great bunch of guys to do that, you know. A strike to Fox. 3-2 the count to Fox. Ken Ryan is the 7th Boston pitcher used in this game. They may be going for a spring training record. This is the new second baseman, Steve Rodriguez, and he got him.
Nice play there by Rodriguez. He took off right away to charge that ball.
Next to second baseman, number 1, Jeff Fry.
Steve Rodriguez now at second base. And it was a nice play, Joe.
Yeah, he charged the ball. If he let that ball bounce, he probably would not have been able to get the speedy Fox, but catches it in there. Nice play.
I think they kind of like the idea that one day maybe Rodriguez could be in there as a second baseman. Bill Selby now at third base. Here's Jeff Fry, who's probably going to be the starting second baseman for Texas. Terry Shumpert has replaced Valentin at shortstop.
Look at those socks.
And there's
not on
Rodriguez.
On Shumpert.
Strike 1 to Fry. 1 ball, 1 strike. Fry hit .327 last year in 205 at-bats in the big leagues. If he comes anywhere close to that, he's going to be very valuable. They want him to hit in the second spot. That is a fair ball. One of those trick plays. Now, did that ever happen to you?
No, I was lucky enough never to let that happen.
What, 23 years it never happened?
No, I got out of the way when it came towards my head. That was I've seen Willie Stargell foul balls off like that. Yeah. I mean, look at that.
This was a fair ball.
Fair ball.
Yeah.
Well, see, first of all, that's what you get for wrapping your bat. See, you wrapped it around his neck. See the wrap right there? See, it's already back there.
Wow. Don't see that one too often.
No, not too often. But see a lot of new things here on Sunday Night Baseball.
2 down, nobody on. Rick Shue, the hitter, with a count of 1 strike. Facing Ken Ryan. Nobody on base. That's too high for a ball. Now, one thing we mentioned the umpires who had the informational pickets out before the game. The amateur umpires working the ball game tonight and in all the major league venues this spring. But it appears that the umpires are going to ask the players to honor their picket lines at the start of the regular season. And it does not appear that the players will do so.
No, I don't think I don't think they should. And I don't think the players should ask them to honor, you know, if there was, you know, the opposite way. First of all, right now, if the umpires ask that, they're going to get in bad graces with the public. Because the last thing the public wants to do is see the players not play again. So it's a very difficult situation, but like you said, it came at a very inappropriate time in that, you know, with all the problems that Major League Baseball was having between the players and the owners, for them to come up in the same situation.
Now
remember, they were having talks today. Remember, they told us outside. John Hirschbeck said that they were having talks today.
Strike 3. Ryan with the breaking ball gets Shue looking. 3 up and 3 down. Rangers leading Boston 5-3. We go to the last of the 8th inning. New pitcher out for the Texas Rangers as we go to the last half of the 8th inning. Darren Oliver, a left-hander. And he will come on and face Mo Vaughn here. Mo is 0 for 3. They've kept the big bats of the Red Sox lineup pretty quiet. See, Oliver averaged a strikeout per inning last year, but also is very wild.
Yeah, 35 walks in 50 innings.
So they picked up Jeff Russell here this week.
Yeah.
Oliver was one of the guys they were thinking could be the closer.
He's coming back from an elbow injury as well. There's Mo.
Look how well Mo hit those lefties last year.
Almost perfect.
Oh, look out.
Now, that's what really upsets you. If you're in spring training and you get hit, you're missing at bat. It's not so much about getting hit, but you have to miss an at bat. Good movement there by Mo.
You remember Ryan Sandberg got hit in spring training 2 or 3 years ago and broke a bone in his hand, had to miss the first month or so of the season. It kind of ruined his whole season.
Yes. Well, if you get hit in the hands especially. See, Mo is geared for battle, though.
Yeah, Mo goes down like that a lot.
Yeah, but he's got elbow pads and
got the armor on.
Yeah, he's got.
Pagliarulo caught that one in foul ground for 1 away. And Pagliarulo, there's not any dirt in this ballpark that he has not made a dive into or slid into here tonight.
Well, the tough play is because he's nearing, you know, the area where they warm up the pitchers. There's home plates are there.
Now Wes Chamberlain will bat. Chamberlain came into the game in the last inning, hitting in Mark Whitten's spot in the order. We're in the 8th inning. On deck is Greg Blosser. 5-3. The Rangers are out in front here. Darren Oliver had some bone chips removed from his left elbow last October. When they first got down to spring training, Oliver was not kind of releasing the ball with the kind of ferocity that they had seen in the past. But it looks like he's throwing pretty hard tonight.
Looks like he's got some pop on these last 2 pitches to Wes Chamberlain. I mean, I think he got loose with Mo Vaughn, but he's really popping the ball pretty well here against Wes Chamberlain.
Breaking ball, 78 miles an hour. 2-1 the count, or rather 3-1 the count. Joe, we're talking about the umpires and the fact that they apparently are thinking about asking the ball players not to cross their picket lines when the regular season starts. If this is still going on at that time, and you said that you would be against that, the players honoring that, and I would agree with you because I mean the players are the reason they open those ballparks. That's the reason that people go to those ballparks. Now, are the players to not play? Are they to quit playing anytime there's a strike? I mean, there's a lot of different unions and whatnot that might have a strike. That's a base hit.
Well, I just think it's, and again, I'm pulling for the umpires. I'd like to see them back, but I think that's not in the best interest of baseball at this time, because if players are just getting back from a real prolonged strike of their own, and to ask them to go out, I don't think the fans would just, you know, the fans would just go nuts. and I would be one of them.
Yeah. Here's Greg Blosser. And it's ball one. Blosser. Last year, Pawtucket hit 260 with 17 home runs. He's from Bradenton, Florida, originally. 23 years of age. Got a big swing on ball one straight. That was 91 miles an hour. So Oliver's got some pretty good pop. Darren Oliver. He's from California. Signed out of Rio Linda High School. 1988 for the Rangers. Slider for a strike. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Darren, by the way, got some baseball heritage. His dad was a former Major League outfielder by the name of Bob Oliver.
Oh, I know
Pretty good,
Bob.
pretty good power hitter.
Yes, he was. Right-handed hitter.
Played for the Angels and also for the Pirates. Strike 3. Blosser is down.
The catcher to bat next, number 37, Bill Hasselman.
Looks like he has good control of the breaking ball. Starts this pitch. That's a big sweeping slider. And strike 3 call.
Here's Bill Hasselman, the catcher, up for the first time, replacing McFarland in the last inning. Hasselman had been with the Seattle Mariners. Hit 193 for Seattle last year and 83 at bats. Big, strong guy. Not foul and out of play. 1 ball, 1 strike. 5-3. Texas ahead. Last of the 8th inning. Opening night a week from Tuesday. The 1995 season will officially get underway that night when the Los Angeles Dodgers meet the Florida Marlins at Joe Robbie Stadium over in Miami. The Dodgers going an interesting direction this year. They're disdained going after any of these many free agents that were available, and they're going with the talent already on hand, and any holes that they wanted to fill, they're filling from within, from their own farm system. Looks like that one ricochets away from Borelli. Pagliarulo ends up picking it up as Chamberlain goes to second. It is scored as a wild pitch. The Dodgers losing Brett Butler, who went to the Mets as a free agent. Appears that they're going to put Raul Mondesi in center field and maybe go with a rookie up in the minor leagues by the name of Todd Hollandsworth in right field. Mike Piazza, the Dodgers, Gary Sheffield, the Marlins. And the Marlins have added a lot of people. Andre Dawson's over there now. A couple of experienced starters have gone there. Burkett, formerly of the Giants, and Witt, formerly of the Oakland Athletics. Terry Pendleton signed there. Got a lot of experience all of a sudden in that Marlin ball club.
Well, that's what you need, a balance of experience and exuberance of the youth. The young players just happy to be there, play hard. You got some veterans to teach them how to play.
Yeah, I think that's the key. A guy like Pendleton.
Right.
Teach him how to
win. He knows how to win. Good leader.
3-1 the count. 3-2.
Good pitch there. Being able to throw an off-speed pitch to McFarland when he's behind in the count. Here's the 3-1 pitch.
Something. Left Joe speechless there. Pickoff play at second and back to the back. Is the runner Chamberlain in front of the tag by Jeff Fry. 3-2 to Hasselman.
That's why we're having spring training.
Pay attention, will you?
Yes.
And they're showing a replay. Watch the monitor. Ball 4. You know, another team in the National League that's really made some changes that look pretty intriguing. The St. Louis Cardinals.
Yes.
Picking up Danny Jackson and Ken Hill. Those were the 2 winningest pitchers in the National League last year, and the Cardinals got them both. That was the big problem for the Cardinals last year, starting pitching. They also picked up from these Rangers the closer, Tom Henke. Well, we're going to get a pinch hitter now. Selby was due up. That's Bill Selby. There's Bucky Dent, the acting manager, in place of Johnny Oates. And the pinch hitter will be Pat Lennon. He's one of those big, strong guys you were talking about, Joe.
Well, 6'2", 230. I was in the clubhouse before the game. Mark Whitten was sitting there, Wes Chamberlain, and Pat. And, I mean, these guys they're all buffed.
Yeah, no hair.
Look at that.
And I mean, this guy, look at those biceps. Man, 326 in double-A ball at New Britain. Whoa, boy. Got a little giddy up on that fastball, Joe.
I would think that he'd intimidate all those minor league pitchers, being this big.
You know, not many guys hit 326 who played at New Britain. You know, that's, for whatever reason, it was never a good place to hit. 5-3 Texas ahead, 2 on, 2 out, and 2 high. 91 miles an hour with that one. 1 ball, 1 strike. Well, the Cardinals will be an improved ball club. Now, they're in the Central Division. They have to compete with Cincinnati, Houston.
Atlanta.
Houston, of course, one of those ball clubs that got rid of some sounders.
I think Houston still has a pretty good ball club, though. Eh? You know, they lost Caminetti and Finley in that trade, and the shortstop Cedeno.
But they picked up some power to get Derek Bell, Phil Plantier. They got Orlando Miller, the guy we saw hit 2 home runs in a game at Wrigley Field last summer. They'll put him in at shortstop every day. I saw them yesterday, Joe, up in Kissimmee, and they still feel like they can make a run for it. They also lost Pete Harnish, who's now at the Mets. Chamberlain at second. That's Hasselman at first. Both ready to go on anything with 2 down and a 3-1 count to Patrick Lennon. High fly ball. Fox on the run. But it's out of play. All the kids out there. Kids, both young and old. Darren Oliver trying to get out of the jam here in the 8th inning. His ball club, Texas, ahead 5-3. Texas got 3 in the first and 2 in the 5th. Boston got 3 in the last of the 5th. That's all of the scoring up till now. Boston will be competing in the American League East. And on paper, the American League East is shaping up to be the strongest division in baseball. That's ball 4. Runners were going with a 3-2 count. And Hall ended up walking him. The bases are loaded now. And there's Dick Bosman, the Rangers pitching coach, heading out to the mound. He was the former Orioles pitching coach under manager Johnny Oates. Both he and Oates are here with the Rangers.
Well, all of a sudden, for some reason, Darren Oliver started dropping his arm a little bit. That's why the ball was riding high. He was on top of the pitches before, but all of a sudden his arm started to drop. There's some guys in the bullpen, John.
Albero is the right-hander. And the left-hander there is Terry Burrows.
Well, let's see if...
You thought I didn't know who they were,
Yeah.
didn't you?
Let's see if Oliver can get back up on top a little bit after Dick Bosman's visit. When you drop your arm a little bit, the ball has a tendency to sail high, and that's exactly where he missed with his last few pitches.
Lee Tinsley, a switch hitter. That's right-handed for the first time tonight. He's 1 for 3 in the game. Well, he got a chance here to tie this ball game. A base hit to the outfield should do it. Chamberlain at third. Hasselman is the possible tying run. He's over at second base. Lennon, the possible go-ahead run, is at first. 1 ball, 1 strike now to Tinsley. There's Chamberlain, Hasselman, and Lennon. Chamberlain, Hasselman, and Lennon. Has a ring to it.
Yeah.
Doing the off-speed stuff here now. Sports Center right after the ball game. Stay tuned. Keith Olbermann and Dan Patrick. Wonder how Michael Jordan did today against the Knicks. Got 55 against them the last time. Keith and Dan know. They'll tell you. That's ball 2, 2-1, 3-1. Is it 3-1? Wow.
3-1.
3-1.
The off-speed pitches, he's getting on top, but the fastball, he just continues to drop down. The ball takes off on him.
Three men on with 2 men down. Here it is. He walked him. 3 consecutive walks by Oliver. And that will do it. Bucky Dent comes out to get him. It's going to bring in the right-hander Albero. 5-4 now. And we will be right back to Fort Myers. City of Palms Park. I wonder where they got the name for that. We're in Fort Myers. The Rangers 5, the Red Sox 4. In the bottom of the 8th, bases loaded, 2 down. There's Jose Albero, who's on to pitch now for the Rangers. And Mo Vaughn is down in the clubhouse with us. Mo, welcome.
How you doing?
Are you excited now? Bases loaded, games on the line?
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're getting right back in it.
But you wish you were up there, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
All right, here's Albero now to face Steve Rodriguez up out of Red Sox farm system. Played at Pawtucket last year. And that's down and in for ball 1. So, Mo, we were just talking. Joe mentioned when you came up in this inning against Darren Oliver, you went down pretty quick on one of those pitches.
Yeah, that first one, he was riding up in and around my neck.
I told him you look like you're dressed for battle anyway. You got arms, shin guards on, and everything else.
Well, I got drilled last year, and I might as well just take care of it early.
1 ball, 1 strike now to Rodriguez. So, Mo, you glad to be back and everything started now? I mean, there's no agreement, but everybody's playing ball again. Everybody seems to be smiling.
Anytime you're playing ball, it's good. I hope they get ready to work something out, though.
There's ball 2, 2-1. What'd you do to stay in shape during that long spell?
Just lifted a lot of weights and stuff. You know, I was working with those kids up there in Boston, but I was pretty busy for the 8 months.
Yeah, you stay busy all the time, don't you? I mean, you're going somewhere to speak and going to schools.
Yeah, they don't really let me get any time off.
He's safe at first.
Tie ball game.
It's a base hit for Rodriguez.
Tie ball game.
There's Mo Vaughn with the news. It is a tie ball game. Steve Rodriguez beat it out, and the big chop into the hole. And Hasselman scored.
High chopper. Really, there's no place for him to go. He took a little extra time to wind up, and that allowed the runner to beat the play at first base. You got to get rid of that ball very quickly.
Hey, Mo, did you see the socks on this guy, Terry Shumpert?
Hey, some said those socks make him move a little bit faster, so.
Well, it's a true Boston Red Sox.
Exactly.
That's the way they used to wear their pants.
You got the whole thing showing.
Yeah, it's a Red Sox look.
That's the old style.
A lot of people didn't even know they had those stripes there. So, Mo, you going to start wearing yours like that tomorrow?
Nah, I'm going to keep mine down low.
So, Mo, what about the Red Sox in '95? I mean, the Yankees get Wetland. Baltimore gets Kevin Brown and Doug Jones. Toronto gets David Cohn. Where do the Red Sox fit into this pennant race?
Well, I think we fit pretty well in. I think we're going to need, a little bit more pitching, but our GM will take care of it. Whatever we need, we're going to get at sometime, maybe during the middle of the season. I really don't know, but, everybody's made some pretty good additions. It's going to be a great race.
I mean, this American League East, you're talking about a great race. I mean, the teams are these are strong ball clubs, it looks like.
Well, probably whoever wins that pennant will be tired.
Mo Vaughn. Now, Mo, you've been smiling ever since they got Canseco, it seems like.
Well, yeah, I'm happy about that. We made some good additions, in the off season, and I think it's all going to work out and help us. We just got to get, some more games on our belt.
2-1 the count. And strike 2 to Shumpert. 2-2. 5-5 in the bottom of the 8th inning. The bases are loaded. With 2 down, Mo Vaughn is here with us. Canseco's on deck, Mo. Mo, you might have to get back out there soon.
You're right.
I got some ice on my leg. I don't think I'll be going anywhere.
Oh,
That's
okay.
it for you, huh?
What
Yeah.
happened? Did you get hurt?
No, I just got a little tightness in one of my hamstrings, so I'm just icing.
It's ruled to swing. The plate umpire made the ruling, and that is the inning. Hang on, can you, Mo, for a little bit? Mo Vaughn with us, 5-5. We go to the when and if this game ends. Changes for the Red Sox. With us is Mo Vaughn, and we're just so exhausted now, Mo, from this game. You know, with all the changes and keeping our scorebooks up, you have no idea how exhausting that is. You know, for guys like Joe and myself.
I understand.
That we're going to have to probably put you into service here momentarily. The batter is Sean Hare facing Ken Ryan.
Yeah, catcher, your 63, Scott Hatteberg.
All right.
Reggie Jefferson, first base.
Popped him up.
Hattie's got it.
Well, Mo, though, was just like he was on the field, trying to direct traffic out there, keeping everybody else away from Hatteberg.
The third baseman is number 37, Bill Hasselman.
Oh, wait a minute, Mo. What's he doing out there?
That's all right. He's multifaceted, that guy.
Now, Mo, you assured us he'd catch this ball.
I know. He had it. If something went wrong, I don't know.
But you better talk to this guy when he
He's
gets
all right.
back in there.
He's all right.
1 ball, 1 strike to Sean Hare. Hit a triple in the first, drove in 2 runs with it. He's 2 for 4 in the game, facing Ken Ryan. The curveball in there for a strike. Mo Vaughn is with us, and now Mo, the last couple of years, the Red Sox just haven't hit that well. You've hit well personally, but the team has not been a big scoring club. Kind of left you exposed in that batting order. A lot of teams have kind of pitched around you, things like that. You think that's going to change with these new hitters around you now?
I think with those new additions, with Canseco and Mark Whitten surrounding me, it's definitely going to be much better. You know, you really can't tell until you know, the season starts how things are going to happen. But I'm sure, you know, with those additions and Mike McFarland also, it's going to make for a better lineup, and everybody's going to feed off each other.
You figure that the way it's going tonight, Canseco third, you fourth?
That's how it's been since we've been starting out down here in Fort Myers. So I really don't expect too many changes. You know, I don't know if we'll flip-flop or not, but right now that's how it looks.
Jose Canseco gives the Red Sox quite a 1-2 punch with Vaughn and Canseco back-to-back. Did he swing? Yes. Strike 3. The third base umpire made the call on the appeal, much to the chagrin of Sean Hare. Now, Mo, from where you're sitting, did he swing?
No, he didn't. I'm a hitter.
I hear you. Let's take a look. But
I'm a hitter.
It'll always look like he swings on...
It always looks like he swings slow motion.
Yeah, well, that one didn't look like he swung. You're right.
I didn't think he went.
No, he didn't go. I don't think he went.
No. He didn't think he did either.
No. Mo, you're right.
1 down. And that brings up Luis Ortiz, former Red Sox farmhand, who was part of the Canseco trade with Otis Nixon going to Texas. He's up for the first time in this ball game. Do you ever remember seeing him in the spring or
yeah,
anything,
Louis was down in AAA and came up for us last year. You know, he's a good hitter. He's got pretty good hands. Uses his hands real well, and can play some third base. I don't know where he's playing right now, but he can swing the bat pretty well.
Well, he's DHing right now, but he came in as a DH there in the 7th inning as a pinch runner for Tettleton. This is his first at bat tonight. He hit .312 at Pawtucket last year with 6 home runs in 317 at bats. Fastball is too high. 3-0 to Ortiz. By the way, talking about the umpiring there, Mo, your position with the umpires being locked out right now.
Well, baseball is played by major leaguers, and I think it's hard enough to do their job at the major league level with the umpires that we have. I just think it's got to get back in hand, I think, you know, and get the old guys back.
There's ball 4, so Ortiz goes down to first base with the walk, and that'll bring up Dean Borelli. Now, Mo, there's a lot of controversy in Boston with the former hitting coach Mike Easler, who did not want to be down here with the replacement players, and then he was not offered his job back once you guys got back. And I know You had a lot of success working with Mike. What are your feelings about that?
Well, you know, of course, I think it's gonna hurt the whole ball club without Mike Easley. You know, I guess I'm biased because of what the guy's done for me, but I know he's a tremendous hitting instructor, and it's a shame how things went down. Our organization had to do what it had to do, and Mike felt what he had to do was right. And as a friend, you know, I just wish him well, and we'll always talk regardless.
Now, the pitching coach, Cumberland, out to speak to Ken Ryan here with 1 out, 1 on, and Ryan all of a sudden has lost the strike zone. 1 ball, no strikes to Borelli. Well, I know you told us many times the last couple of years whenever we'd come into town for Sunday Night Baseball about the success you were having and how much credit you gave Mike Easley for that.
Well, you know, the truth is the truth. You know, the guy can, you know, they call him Hitman for a reason, and he really can teach it and educate guys. I talked to some guys that were down with him in Homestead, and he's made some changes in them. So, you know, the guy is a hitting coach that is very, very good, and I think, you know, he'll be back in the game sometime.
Well, that's pretty good endorsement for Mike. From
in fact, I got to call him tonight, I think.
Tell him I said hello too.
I will.
2-0 the count, and that's in there for a called strike. 2-1. So Mo, when you lose your guru like that, where does that leave you now in terms of going about your business?
Well, the thing about it was that I really had 2 heads working at one thing, and now I got to kind of do it on my own. So, you know, it's a little bit tougher, but like I said, you know, we're always communicating and always talking, and I'll get through it.
Well, we're looking at your batting averages there in the 92, your first full year, 234, then up to 297 in 93 and 310 last year. So you can see that steady improvement for you.
We just keep working at it. I think I got a pretty good base of what I want to do, and I'll just stay with it.
2-2 the count to Borelli. 5-5 in the 9th inning.
This ice is cold, too.
You still got that ice on?
Yeah.
What? Now, are you saying you need to maybe go get it off now, or what? Are you saying, man, John and Joey's going to keep you all night here, or what? And we're enjoying it, Mo.
You guys need to give me some salary or something.
Man, well, see, you never came to our school to speak. Well, we do appreciate you coming on with us, Mo. And I think maybe if you can check the monitor there, we just want to leave you with this. After this next pitch here. 3-2, the runner goes. There's a high fly ball. Left field. Yeah, Blosser. Just as Mo predicted, they had a man there. Out number 2. Well, Mo, your final at bat tonight. You're up there against Darren Oliver.
Hey.
You remember that one?
Yeah, I remember that one.
91 miles an hour.
Yeah.
2 inches from your chin. Does that make you mad when that happens?
It does a little bit. It's part of the competition, though, and I think that's what keeps you going in the game like that. You need anything you can to get an edge.
I know a lot of guys wouldn't have been able to get out of the way. A lot of guys diving in.
Yeah.
Well, Mo, all the best to you this year. I know you'll have a lot of kids in New England who'll be rooting for you, especially. And it should be a lot of fun with the Red Sox in '95 with all the new sluggers, and of course, Big Mo Vaughn right in the middle of them as usual. Thanks,
right.
Mo.
Thanks a lot. See you guys later.
Okay, you can get that ice off now.
All right.
All right.
See you.
Mo Vaughn. This is Esteban Beltre up for Texas. Up for the first time in the game. No swing on the appeal. 5-5. 2 down, and Ortiz at first. Mo, very congenial guy.
Very good guy.
Will be an interesting way to cover a ball game, right? It's just instead of reporting it from the standpoint of the one team, right? Oh, we got that one covered. We got a guy there. A strike. Ken Ryan. For the last 2 or 3 years, whenever the Red Sox talk to teams about trades, the other teams always wanted this guy. You know, he was coming up through the system, and he was a guy that throws real hard, big, strong guy. He's got the kind of build of a guy that could last a long time.
Well, he's a big, strong guy, and he has strong legs, obviously, and that's one of the things that keeps you going for a long period of time.
We get that last pitch clocked at 91 miles an hour. Sports Center next, right after the ball game, whenever that might be. 5-5, top of the 9th inning. Ken Ryan, the 7th Boston pitcher. Runner goes outside, throw to second is wide of the mark. Shumpert had to come well off the bag to get it, and Ortiz steals a base. The throw by the new catcher Hatteberg, Scott Hatteberg.
Well, he gets a pretty good jump, looks like. Throws offline. Shumpert makes the catch.
Now a base hit could put the Rangers back ahead. Beltre trying to pick it up here. 3-2. Strike 3. We go to the last half of the 9th inning. Canseco scheduled to lead it off. It is 5-5. Same guy.
Oh.
Here come the Rangers, or actually the former Rangers slugger for the Red Sox coming up, Jose Canseco. A reminder now, make your plans to be with us opening night on April the 25th, a week from Tuesday, when the Los Angeles Dodgers invade Joe Robbie Stadium to take on the Florida Marlins. It'll be the only game played that day, 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. Mike Piazza, the Dodgers, Gary Sheffield, Terry Pendleton, and the Florida Marlins. And then the next day, everybody else will get started. This will have a big triple header the next day on ESPN. The Rangers and Yankees from Yankee Stadium. Joe and I will be at Coors Field to see the Rockies open their new ballpark officially against the New York Mets. And then the Padres will be in the 3rd game of the day.
Canseco just missed hitting a home run 2 at-bats ago. And I'm sure he'd be up here trying to end it all right now.
There's a lot of people who work for Sports Center that would like to see him connect right now. You know, so that they'd have a good highlight.
Yeah,
that's the only reason.
And they're standing by.
Go, Jose. Your turn, baby. 1-1 to Jose Canseco, bottom of the 9th. Low. 2-1. He's facing a sinker baller here. Jose Albero from San Juan, Puerto Rico. He was 4-3 with a 4.52 earned run average last year at Oklahoma City in 52 relief appearances. He had 11 saves there. Had a good Winter League season in Puerto Rico. High in the air, shallow center. Dostal will let the second baseman Fry take it. 1 away. Canseco's 0 for 4 tonight with that near home run. Now Reggie Jefferson comes up.
Canseco again just misses this. He's a little late on that one. Actually pitches inside a little bit. Kind of jams him.
Joe, I hate to interrupt, but we have a pitching change. Wow. New pitch. Coming up next on ESPN Sports Center. It won't be long now, or will it? Michael Jordan and the Knicks today, the NHL playoff races. We heard Brett Hull got 4 goals today, and all of the action at the various spring training venues. That's on Sports Center with Keith Olbermann and Dan Patrick. And we understand a conversation with Bulls coach Phil Jackson.
Oh.
Sports Center. Yeah.
By the way, I know it 3 goals is a hat trick. What's 4 goals?
Everybody knows that. Here is Reggie Jefferson.
Well, what? There has to be a hockey fan here someplace. What's 4 goals? I know 3. Remember, that's a hat trick, right?
Call Gary Thorne. Beltre throws out Jefferson. Remember Reggie Jefferson hit that game-winning home run a couple of years back at the old Cleveland Stadium.
Yes, line
To win a
drive.
ball game in the bottom of the ninth against David Cohn.
Yeah.
Remember that?
A line shot over the right field wall. I remember that.
Well, it was a great moment on Sunday Night Baseball. Reggie Jefferson. Reggie hit .327 with Seattle last year with 8 home runs in 162 at-bats, though. Now he's with the Red Sox. Here is Wes Chamberlain, traded by the Sox, or to the Sox by the Phillies last year. Chamberlain ended up hitting .256 for the Red Sox in 164 at-bats. Wes Chamberlain. At the time, I thought when a lot of people thought maybe he was going to become a star in the game, but never really happened.
The thin line becomes in being a good player and becoming a star. Very thin line.
Terry Burrows is the pitcher. Burrows was 3-5 with a 4.26 ERA at Oklahoma City last year. 44 games. 2 down, 2 strikes to count. Nobody's throwing in either bullpen. I wonder, Joe, if we will go more than 9 innings. The Red Sox have used 7 pitchers already. How many more could they have? They've got another game tomorrow. In spring training, teams will make agreements that,
oh yes,
once they've used up all their pitchers, that'll be that. We haven't heard an announcement about that, though. Have you?
I don't think they're going to. I think they're going to play this one out.
Maybe you'll just have to stay tuned to SportsCenter and find out the answer to that question. Struck him out. 3 up and 3 down for the Red Sox. We've played 9 full innings, and we're just starting to get warmed up. 5-5 the score. Nope, there is another pitcher. We're going to the 10th inning. Rangers 5, Red Sox 5. That's Mike Sullivan. 6 feet 3 inches tall, out of St. Paul, Minnesota. He went to Seminole Junior College, and the Phillies drafted him in June of 1988. He was an 11th round draft choice. Makes his home in Dallas, Texas now. And here's his pitch to Mike Pagliarulo. 1 for 2 with 2 walks. Left-handed hitter. He'll be followed by Bruce Dostal and then Eric Fox. 5-5. Last year, Mike Sullivan was traded by the Phillies to the Red Sox in that Wes Chamberlain trade. Billy Hatcher and Paul Quantrill went to the Phillies, and Mike Sullivan and Wes Chamberlain went to the Red Sox in that deal. Fastball a strike, and it's 0-2. In 49 games at Reading and New Britain last year, he won 2, lost 7 with 3 saves and a 4.39 ERA. Walked 33 in 66 innings. That's back out of play. 66 innings, give up 67 hits.
Well, he looks like he has an average fastball. Haven't seen his breaking ball yet.
Well, it's 0-2, Joe. It's got to be coming here soon.
If he doesn't throw it soon, he'll miss a good opportunity.
If he's ever going to throw it.
Yeah. Well, he still hasn't. No, maybe that was it. Maybe he was trying to grip that one.
He's got all the pitches. He's got the fastball, the wild pitch. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Mike Pagliarulo. Still all fastballs. 2-2. Supposed to have a fastball and a slider, from what I've heard about him in the past.
Okay.
There's a time where he worked on a palm ball.
There's the slider.
And hit him. And he hit Pagliarulo. Didn't hit him real hard. They used to say in the John Wayne Westerns, just grazed him.
Just grazed him.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a look here. It says slider just diving in. Well, I guess it hit him.
He's lucky to be alive. Bruce Dostal. Got those racquetball glasses on. Dostal played on the replacement team for the Rangers He's the only one of the replacements who is with the big leaguers right now on the big league ball club for the springtime.
Hey, now take a break. I don't want to hear it.
Dostal was in the Orioles farm system and for 3 or 4 days went up into the big leagues with the Orioles last year. Hit about 400 with the replacements this spring. Ball 2.
Well, all of a sudden, they're having trouble throwing strikes here.
And here comes John Cumberland. Rick Cumberland, the left-hander, was with the Giants.
Yes, I remember John.
A long time ago, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, a long time
Early
ago.
70s?
Yeah.
Did you ever face him?
I can't remember.
You ever go deep against him?
No, I would remember that.
Did he ever knock you down?
No, I'd remember that, too.
You ever charge the mound against him?
I got halfway once. And thought better of it.
Looks like kind of a big, solid guy, John Cumberland.
That's why I thought better of it.
And there's ball 3. He's trying to bunt the ball. He's trying to make it out here, and Sullivan won't let him. But, Joe, what do you want to do after the game? It's going to get that time where, you know, you start thinking maybe the game will be over soon. I'm not busy.
Well, I'm catching a plane in the morning. I may go from here to the airport.
Well, man, I hope we can get you there in time. 3-1 to Dostal. Eric Fox is on deck. Or one of the other guys.
Oh, that's Eric.
Okay. And after all of that, he bunts into a force play. Sullivan over to Schumpert, the shortstop, at second for the force on Pagliarulo.
Right fielder comes to bat, number 18, Eric Fox.
Eric Fox will bat. He's been in there all the way, just as has Pagliarulo. Tinsley's been in there all the way for the Red Sox, and the DH, Canseco. The Red Sox have used 26 players. The Rangers have used 22. And according to Marty Aronoff, who's never wrong on such things, Texas still has 2 other pitchers left in its bullpen. And the Red Sox have 3 other pitchers left in their bullpen. I hope your flight's not too early, Joe. Sports Center right after the game. There goes the runner. The ball is swung on and fouled. 1 ball and 1 strike to Eric Fox. He has walked and scored a run, fly to center, hit into a force play, popped to second, and grounded to second. He's played both center field and right field tonight. There's Dostal back to first. Dostal has pretty good speed. He was a guy who could steal a base in the minor leagues.
Well, I found that interesting. They bunted with a runner at first and 3-1 count, and then they try to hit and run 1-0.
You know, why didn't they hit and run on 3-1?
That's what I was thinking.
Especially with a guy who was wild like that.
Right. I think that's but being honest with you, I think that's a perfect time to hit and run, of course, because if the pitch is not a good pitch, the hitter can take it. But to bunt or to give him an out 3-1 is kind of interesting.
Of course, if you're ever going to get a strike on a hit and run play, it's got to be on 3-1, right?
Yes.
Well, I'm at a loss, Joe, to explain it.
Yeah, I can't explain it either.
Johnny Oates, the manager, of course, is not here tonight.
That's right. Johnny would have done that.
Yeah, I think so.
There's Bucky Dent. He's the acting manager for the Rangers.
Joe is all over you here. 2-1 the count. And that's high, ball 3. We've just been informed, Joe, by people with the Red Sox that should the game continue tied, that they're prepared to play many more innings.
Well, I mean, it's an exhibition game, so I mean, you play until there's a winner.
Trying to get their work in. They were hoping for extra innings. They got lots of guys need work. Look out! Center field base hit. Rounding second, going to third is Dostal, as Tinsley throws back into second. Fox with a single to center, putting runners at first and third. And Jeff Fry will come up. And the Boston bullpen is busy.
Fastball out over the plate and up a little bit. Fox reaches for it, hits in the center field. Good base running here by Dostal. You see, never hesitates. Comes around second and gets into third, gets himself into scoring position with less than 2 outs.
Hey, look who's coming to the mound, Joe. John Cumberland.
Well, since this is his second time, I'm sure we'll have a pitching change.
Yeah, you know, I remember him being out there before. In fact, this is about the 14th time that I remember. Well, Mike Hartley's coming in.